just typed in, "Hello all, we're back." It was like 5 seconds. Kind of want to leave old Johansson over there, but I'm not going to. What could I put over there? I'm going to put something cool. What's something we're going to talk about later that's kind of cool? I know we're going to talk about this briefly. Put Gandalf over there. No? No thoughts?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just trying to figure out something to put on our right side.
How about the usual podcast logo?
Do I have a logo ready for that?
I think it's in our... Oh, no, it's not.
No, it's I have it in here. All right, we're going to start the main show here in a moment. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Yes, and thank you for sticking through our 5-second delay.
Yeah, well, if you were here for trailer time, if you missed trailer time, that is a Patreon exclusive, the video feed of that, starting this week. If you want to, actually, and that's something we could say too, if they want a glimpse of what it is, the long first version of it is still on YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah, because
take it down.
That was literally like 25 minutes, and last week's was an hour.
Oh, God.
As Steve can attest, because he was here for that.
It was good, though. It was good.
Yeah, we had a lot of good shows. But I will say I'm very excited about The Circle. I'm excited about Handmaid's Tale. Actually, I'm excited about almost everything we had this week.
Indeed. I'm just trying to figure out where my pictures.
Welcome to the chat, M. Green.
Hello, hello. What up, what up? We'll be starting here in about a minute. I just got to find something to occupy the space to the right of my melon on the feed.
While we're waiting, Mox, how about you... I think you might be the only one in there who has actually read Death Note. So, what do you think? On a scale of 1 to 10, how good is Death Note, and how good do you think the trailer looks in comparison?
Oh, we don't need that. Photos, there we go. I'm just going to do it like this. Okay. Get rid of that one. Alright, here we go. About ready to rock here. Since we have enough things that say usual podcast on it.
Well, it would be nice to just have our logo up there.
No, it looks good. IR was awesome.
It.
Oh, it.
I think he was talking about last week's episode.
Well, I mean, we're all right. Let's not get carried away. Just kidding. Okay. I am just about ready. I didn't add...
Oh, switch it from trailer time to...
Yeah, 1 second.
Thanks, Steve.
Nope, that I can take that off too. I'll leave it up one more episode, as we talked about. There we go. Oh, do we not want trailer time on top of the other one? Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have this here. And
okay.
There's only like 2 things that I need to add, but we'll just slap it on there.
Right.
I'll put in the notes after the fact.
Cool.
So we don't hold these lovely people up any longer.
Yes.
Okay. Are we ready for our show?
Yeah, let's go.
Main show time. Here we go. Oh, make sure we put it back down when we're done.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Last came from the Death Star. That thing's operational.
Dr. Ben. Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
Hello and welcome to episode 91 of The Usual Podcast. The podcast where we discuss Star Wars: The Old Republic, the Star Wars franchise, and geek and pop culture. I'm your host, Marshall. And with me, as always, is my co-host Will. What up, bro?
Not much. I'm a little stuffed up tonight, and I don't know
You're
why.
getting all weird on me.
Actually, maybe we cracked the window tonight.
The window's open, bro.
Wow. All right. I hope
It's
I'm not
stuffy
getting.
as hell in my house. I'll tell you that.
Hopefully I'm not getting sick.
And if you do, oh my god, if I get sick, it's over.
Yeah,
Anyway,
like I've never gotten sick from your daughters.
touche. And we're just sitting here enjoying our usual frosty beverages. What do you got? I'm forced you to drink something.
Yeah, no, I actually am drinking
good
a
beer.
little bit different. I'm drinking a Sierra Nevada Torpedo Extra IPA.
That's my household usual.
Yes, that is your household.
I've been
usual.
buying it in the can because it's like easier.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little cheaper too.
Buy $1.
Nice.
I mean, where you can save $1, right?
Oh, I just totally noticed I was holding that off of camera.
Oh well,
There you go. Sierra
they're-
Nevada
They're not seeing it.
Torpedo.
Anyway, I am drinking same brewing company as last week, and so when I was in Piaci last Friday, that's my Friday pizza movie night spot.
And I will have to say it's the best pizza on the West Coast that
Oh,
I've had.
by far. One of my buddies, Steven, owns it, and one of the bartenders who's actually a fan of the show was supposed to meet us for Rogue One,
Right.
and couldn't. Dan, the tall
Dan.
guy. Shout out to Dan if he's listening. He walked up to me and said, Steven told me that this was one of the best IPAs he's had in a long time. It's from Firestone Walker, like we talked about last week. It's called Leo versus Ursus, and you said it means lion versus bear.
Yeah, lion versus bear.
Yeah. They talked me into it, and I agree. It is one of the better IPAs I've had in a long time.
Really? And you have had quite a few different IPAs.
I've had a lot of IPAs, but it's phenomenal, man. It's 8.2. It's nice. I like it. I wish I had more than just the one. But
It's tasty.
it is what it is. Anything else before we get going?
No, I think
Cool.
that's it for
So
drinks.
yeah, great. So before I wasn't gonna let you actually answer. Did you notice? Okay. So before we get started, if you have comments or questions, you can find us at the usual podcast.
Really? So what are you talking about? That you weren't going to let me do
I knew you were
anything.
going to say that. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I am at Darth Pops on Twitter. Will is at I'm Will Griggs. We're on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Google Play. So retweet us, like us, and give us some stars and stuff. We haven't got none of those in a long time, which would be great if we did. But when we're on the social medias, like us. We're trying to get better about it. Facebook page and stuff. We're trying to get better about it. So
We
like us on
keep saying
Facebook.
that, but
Well, I'm gonna keep saying it, and maybe because I think Jessie said it on Passionate Casual this week. She said if I say it because they have their new website.
yeah.
And she says if I say it out loud on the podcast, then I'm forced to
That's a good
actually
point.
make it happen.
You know, spring break's coming up, and I think I'm going to devote a day or two to that to set up either through Hootsuite or Buffer to
Yeah.
make it much more reliable.
And now that he's said it,
Now you can hold me to
internet, hold him to it. So yeah. We have the timestamps in the show notes. If you're not a SWTOR fan, we don't have a lot this week, but we have a few things. And if you're not watching live, you can jump around, of course. But thank you to the chat room, for the folks who are there before we get into the main show here. And I am not going to keep an eye on chat, but Will is.
it. Yes, I will.
Well, he says that, but
Hey, I have always.
yeah, you're doing all right. So, dude, we'll play the SWTOR bumper because I'm chomping at the bit to say a couple things. So let's do it. Let's do it. I wasn't ready.
You want to fight? I'm ready.
You do not have to stand against me. Instead, I will share all of this with you if you will only kneel.
See, and I just noticed in chat that they said the trailer time thing.
Yeah.
That was like 5 minutes ago.
Yes, it was. That's why I told it to you.
Here we are, Star Wars: The Old Republic. What I want to do first is talk about the community because I love our people in the community, and we have some
Yes.
community members in the chat room, so I want to give
That
them
we
some
do.
love. I will have their links to their latest shows. I have listened to all of the shows I'm going to say, except I have about just the interview to finish on CRR. I was listening to it all the way on the golf course to and from the golf course today, catching up on all these shows. So, Passionate Casual had their latest episode. Jesse's back, which is awesome.
Yep.
SWTOR Escape podcast. I'm trying to remember what their thing was this week. Oh, what did it have to do with? I don't remember, but I'll cut that anyway. So their show's always good. They always put in some sort of helpful. Was it Conquest? Now I'm trying to think of what it was. What was it? I just listened to it today. It's been a long day. Okay, well, I'm not gonna have dead air on my live broadcast right now. And
Well,
Carillion,
you say that.
I know, right? In Carillion Run Radio, it was all guys this week. It was Mox and JT, and they had Kid Lee on there.
Oh, very cool. If you don't know, Kid Lee is one of our Twitch
Auto host streamer. peeps.
streamers.
Yeah.
So thank you to Kid Lee.
He's the man. I haven't listened to the interview part of that yet. That was right when you picked me up, essentially.
Cool.
And Bad Feeling Podcast is always entertaining. I just want to give all those guys a shout out. Those are the ones I listened to this week. Those guys had me cracking up. I was funny because I was transporting the kids, right? And it's on the way back, and everybody's quiet because they listen to their music and stuff. But every once in a while, I'll just bust out laughing because they're explicit. Every once in a while, one of them will just say something ridiculously off the wall, some
Right.
kind of, innuendo or whatever. But I can't say it on our show. But it was
Innuendo.
okay. See, that's what I'm talking about. You're gonna have to cut it.
Actually, JT was wondering if listening to CRR helped your golf game.
Well, I don't listen to it while I'm swinging the club, but on the course I played today, as terrible as I played, I got through a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, so what'd you shoot on the front nine?
44.
What'd you shoot on the back nine?
We're gonna say the back was a disaster. I'm not telling you my score. Don't you dare say it.
I know his score. Can I get a show of hands? Would you like to know his score?
Well, they're gonna, of course, want to know. I shot 102
Total.
But here's the problem.
So 58 on the back nine.
Well, now that you said it, now I'm.
No, I'm just making clear because I don't want them to think that you shot 102 on the back nine.
Total 102.
There we go.
44 on the front. I shot 91 the last 2 weeks, though. It was a tough
that's
course.
impressive.
There was a lot of out of bounds on this course. And I
My
was having a hard
average,
time.
though, is like whenever you and I went golfing, it was like 110 was like my average, I would think.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm improving.
But I have shot in the 80s once, but that was in LA and it wasn't with you.
Yeah, I was working on my swing today a little bit, so I let that go at some point and decided to actually score well. So anyway,
Cool.
What'd you do in game this week, dude? Since we're not talking about golf, we're talking about SWTOR.
I spent a little bit more time, and I'm still working on getting my bounty hunter through Kotfi. And I just finished episode 15 last night, so I just have one more episode to do, and then I've got the HK51 bonus chapter, and I'm done with Kotfi with my bounty hunter.
Oh, one of the things I forgot to say in the shout out section was thanks to Passionate Casual. We got a mention on there, which is great. Jesse actually listened to, I think she was talking about listening to episode 89. And then on CRR, they talked about WOG, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's pretty much all I did. Cool. I went through and I did some maintenance, going through all my tunes and stuff. But yeah, that was pretty much it.
JT, let me just tell you, I would have many, many, many beverages if it wasn't a school event.
Yeah,
Trust
he's
me.
the coach of the high school team. So
I'm not only transporting the kids there, but I have to I get to play golf, but I have to be sober, which, it's hit or miss. Sometimes I play better when I'm not. Or sometimes by the back nine, I'm done.
well, I think the more important part of it is that you actually drive them to and from. So,
Oh, I was focusing on the other part. All right, moving on. So this week, what did I do in the game? I did some wogging. We did not have a lot of signups, and so what we ended up doing was splitting into a couple groups and doing some uprisings.
well, that's cool. So at least you're getting some new content in there.
Yeah, and I hadn't done it, and it was actually funny because one of the last things I listened to on CR was JT talking about that, and he was saying, excuse me, what happened was it was me, JT, Caleron, and Skeen showed up, which was awesome. So the four of us were running through, and we just randomly, I think, jumped into an uprising. And of course, JT's like, "Oh God, really?" And I guess it's one of the hardest ones. It has to do with rat ghouls or something. I don't know.
Right.
It was a trip, and he was healing on his Merc, and he was like trying to heal. It was super funny. He's trying to learn how to heal on his Merc, and
Right.
And I died a lot, and we died a lot, but it was fun.
That's cool.
I love playing with those.
And that's
guys.
what the most important thing is, that
Yeah,
it's
I don't
fun.
care. I don't care about
And just a quick shout out to Skeen. We haven't actually talked with him for a while, and but he's one of our longest running supporters. He was one of our, if not our first patron, one of our first patrons. And he's actually started up his own podcast called The Geeking Hour. And
Right.
you can find that on Podbean. I believe they have at least 3 or 4 episodes up.
I think it's 4. We mentioned them a while back, but yeah,
Yeah.
they're up to 4 now.
Yeah, so just make sure you check that out. And he's from Indiana, and he
Good guy.
keeps sending us beer from the Sun King Brewery.
Oh my God, did I?
I did.
You
We got
saw that?
Yeah, we got a tweet from him this week,
Oh,
and
we're
it
all
turns
over the
out
place today.
he knows like one of the marketing directors or whatever for Sun King Brewery.
Well, he opens restaurants, and I
Right.
think that was the link there.
Yeah, so he told them about us and how we always mention them on the podcast. So shout out for Sun King, and so the marketing person that's going to start listening to us.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, thank you.
So what else did I do? Okay. Can I tell you something stupid I did? Since we don't have a lot of news.
Well,
it'll
that's
take
pretty
a
much
minute.
what you do every day.
So what I did was I decided this was over the weekend. I had some downtime. I was just like, okay, I want to start leveling some of my 65s to 70, right?
Right.
So I logged into my, was my Sage? Yeah. No, it was my Shadow. I have a Shadow
Right, okay.
on the pub side or whatever. So, and it was DPS, and I'm like, okay, I want to level her to 70. So I get my leveling gear or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's right. They have the armorings that you can take out now.
Yeah.
But I'm a moron because once you take the armorings out, you don't get the bonus for the XP.
Nope.
And I accidentally overwrote one of them
Aw.
with the armorings I was trying to put in because I thought it was really smart. So I'm still talking. I think I had a mix-up with customer service, and for some reason they're like, "Yeah, we'll send it to you. Just send us the information." I send the information, and I haven't heard from them in days. So I'm gonna get on that. But so anyway, I don't have my full set thing, but I got her to 70, and I'm gonna work on my other ones too. So that's pretty much all I've been doing.
Cool.
Let's get to some news, man. So there was some issues over the weekend as far as servers being full and weird things happening, which I thought was actually kind of funny. So when people see, oh my God. So there was something on the West Coast servers. They brought
I saw that all the West Coast servers were brought down for a couple hours.
Yeah, they brought them down. They came back up a little while later. They didn't have an ETA at the time, but yeah, it was giving people errors like, the server's full and, typical stuff like that. So that happened, and I was going to log in. I was like, well, that's happening, so I'll do something else. And then I came back and it was going, so it didn't matter. There was a bit of an error. I don't know if I want to even deal with this one. Yeah, I don't care about that one. So the main thing, there was a landing party uprising problem, and a lot of the other shows have been talking about this too. So I don't know what the landing party one is. I think it's on Ricotta or Prime or something. But I've never done it. I've only done 2. But the issue is, like, I guess the last boss just doesn't show up. So
that's a little bit of a problem.
yeah, it's an issue. So that's going to be fixed, I guess, in 5.2, I think.
Okay.
But 5.2, which I have some news on that in a minute. Yeah, it says 5.2. But that's, I'll say the date in a minute, but it's at least a couple weeks, so they're just leaving a broken uprising.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know you don't care.
Well, no, I'm saying the only thing I can think of is if something that's in their coding right now is just automatically going to fix it, and it would just be too much of an effort to like pull that coding out to patch it.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know, man. I like to think of coding as flicking switches.
So not coding.
Oh, I took a programming class when I was in Seattle with you, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, listen, there's no switches.
No switches.
It's chaos. I hate it. All right, my brain just doesn't work that way. But anyway. All right, so one other thing I want to talk about before the news that came out just today. What was the tagline on this one? Hold on. Let me go back. Oh. People get all worked up. They think for some reason they're like protecting the botters and spammers. And I have a follow-up to this. Like the community. So, developers.
The community thinks developers are protecting botters
That's
and spammers?
the name of the thing. It says, Eric, if you don't mind giving me clarification, I'd like to know how the official policy is at the moment. They start talking about TOS stuff. They talk about asking about exploits and stuff like that. So
Right.
he kind of comes back and he says, it's a good question. It gets complex. Ultimately, the answer is a bit of it depends. I would say err on the side of being overly judicious and let the terms of service team work it out. So really what it comes down to, and this is the thing I'm going to bring up today, is you have to seriously always report this stuff. If you think somebody's
every time I encounter a bot or a spammer, I always report.
Indeed.
I never report as abusive. I just report as spam.
Yeah, but there's a difference between spammers and people that they think are cheating, like in PvP, and that's where people get really upset.
That's what I report for abuse.
Yeah. So I'll just do the follow up on this one real quick. I'm talking off mic because it's on my other screen. One sec. I'll move this over here. Cool. All right. So this is the other thing. So credit sellers and account security. Oh no, not that one. 1 second. Oh, this has to do with something else. Never mind. All right, so let's move to the next thing. So this is the main thing here is the release date for 5.2 dropped today.
Okay.
Are you excited?
I am.
When do you think it is?
I'm going to say 2 weeks.
I didn't necessarily bury the lead, did I? It's actually more like 3 weeks, but it's fine. April 11th. How many weeks is that?
Spring break.
Spring break week.
Awesome.
I'm gone that week.
2.5 weeks.
Moving on. All right, so 2.5 weeks from now, 5.2 is dropping on Tuesday, April 11th. As they get closer to the date, they want to talk more about some of the things that they can expect with the update. So starting on Monday, and this is Eric posting today while I was on the golf course, here are some of the 5.2 topics they'll begin to talk about. So, new galaxy map.
Oh, really?
And I was basically this is going to be our discussion topic because I don't know what any of this means. So, new galaxy map, PvP on Iocath, the daily area which they talked about, what's different and what's the same, access to Iocath, who, when, and how, and choosing a faction on Iocath because remember they have that whole faction thing going on.
Right.
And they're also planning to do our 5.2 stream in the next couple of weeks. On that stream, they'll not only talk about 5.2 but show some of it as well. Now, I don't understand what are they gonna do with the galaxy map? Do you think? I want to quickly speculate because we're pretty much done with SWTOR.
I mean, it's funny now with all the other improvements they made to like all the other stuff. The galaxy map is kind of antiquated. Plus, the more planets that they add and stuff, it's just getting more crowded. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So, yeah, I really don't know what they would change it to.
Yeah.
But
well, like, do you think it's gonna? The one thing that bugged me about the galaxy map, well, one, I never use it anymore because of quick travel.
Right.
But whenever I use it on a Lobby tune or something like that, like, I can't remember sometimes where the planets are.
Oh yeah, which sector
What section of the galaxy it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, then I click on the section I think it is, and it's not. And I gotta come back out, and then
that's why if you just have a little patience and you hover over it, it lists everything on there.
Bro, are you serious right there? With the patience thing? Come on. I'm a busy man. Okay. Anyway, so we're getting a new galaxy
if
map.
I wasn't all stuffed up, I'd start whistling patience and.
But I think the PvP on Iocath is interesting.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they might alter a little bit because of the faction issue.
Uh-huh.
And maybe they're going to encourage some PvP, open world PvP maybe? I don't know.
So you're thinking this might be Elm 2.0?
Well, maybe. But it could also be like a modified Western Shelf, Northern Shelf. I don't know. Whatever it is for the Gree.
Right.
Where they have like an area where it's like you have to do PvP stuff, objectives.
Right,
maybe?
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, that I can understand.
Yeah, we'll see.
And I think it's the southern section.
Yeah. Someone's going to correct us.
It's hard to say.
I'm pretty sure it's northern, but I'm going to say it's northern. Anyway, daily area, what's new, what's the same? Are you in any way, shape, or form looking forward to a new daily area?
Oh, of course. I like dailies.
Yeah, me too.
Plus, dailies are pretty much an achievement whore's dream.
Yeah, indeed.
I mean, I'm still working on achievements from Black Hole.
And that was one of the things actually Bad Feeling talked about this week, since all this is kind of fresh in my mind. They were talking about things to do solo because all these new games came out in the last couple weeks. We have the Switch came out with their new Zelda game and Mass Effect Andromeda. So they're like, well, when all your friends go to play other games for a little while, before they come back to SWTOR, what are you going to do by yourself? And one of the things they said was achievement stuff. Which I thought you'd appreciate.
Well, that's pretty much what I do, anyways.
Yeah,
and I mean, when I am able to get online, but I'm happy they finally made the Heroic 4 from Section X soloable.
Oh yeah, that's a welcome change. All right, so there is going to be maintenance on this Tuesday, and the last thing, as far as discussion goes, we are going to talk about credit sellers and account security. So. I'm going to read part of this post. I'm not going to read the whole thing. So Eric said, and this was just earlier today, working to substantially reduce credit selling spam is a constant battle. We all know it's impossible to eliminate all of it, but making it difficult or expensive to these spammers is an ongoing effort most of our players never truly realize. So they did a bunch of stuff, and I'm summarizing here. They did a bunch of stuff behind the scenes in Game Update 5.1.3. After the chat restrictions they tried to do in the last update failed to slow them down, and they saw a dramatic drop, which is super cool. And so now, but they're seeing now an actual player accounts are being compromised. So that means they're basically reminding us to make sure our passwords are, user security keys, make sure your passwords are not the same as all your other passwords, stuff like that. So they're working on it, but make sure we're doing
just
our
basics,
part as well.
password.
Indeed. And definitely report it. Keep reporting it, even though you'd think things aren't happening. They are happening. Things are happening, dude.
Things are happening.
Yeah. So here we are. Anything else SWTOR wise? Anything else I'm forgetting?
No, that's pretty much it for this week. We do have something to talk about our SWTOR superhero contest, though.
Oh, I was trying to gloss.
No,
Trying to
we
gloss.
can't. We can't gloss it because we do
Yeah.
we do good stuff, but we also do have mix-ups. Last
Mix-ups?
week, mix-ups,
Two of us read an email,
and neither one of us
and
saw
neither
it.
of us figured
Okay.
this out.
Last week we announced our winners for the contest, and we picked number 1 to be Jesse Stardust. And it turns out that the one that we actually really liked from the picture was not actually a character done by Jesse Stardust. It was actually done by Grog.
But why did we think that both of them being in the screen was? Did we think it was a companion or something? What were we
I
thinking?
don't know. I mean, like, I honestly don't know what my mindset was.
I don't
on
know
that.
either.
So just a quick shout out to Grod. He's the one that did
I
the
think it's Grog. Is it
I said Grog.
Oh, Grog. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm stuffed up, so it's
I
coming
got
out
you.
weird.
Yeah, you're good.
But he's the one who did the Iron Man one, the Iron Man Bounty Hunter. Who he actually made that for the Musco event.
Right.
So it's Iron Musco. So what Jesse and Grog decided to do? They're splitting the grand prize.
Right.
Jesse's getting the socks, and Grog's getting everything else.
I did one better. I sent out.
really?
I sent out all of the prizes
Okay, cool.
yesterday to last night, in fact, to all the winners. And what I did was I sent both Jesse and Grog both the sub time and the coins.
Cool.
And then what I did, because I mean it's our bad. And then I'm working with Jesse to get the socks to her, but I also got Grog's address, so I will send him the Smuggler's Bounty as soon as my post office is open.
Awesome.
Our post, I don't understand my post office.
Seriously, we're in a tiny town.
It's madness. Anyway, so all of that's. If you didn't get your prizes for some reason, please let us know. But I think I squared us up on all that stuff. I just got to ship the other stuff, and I think
Cool.
we're good. And again, we want to throw out to our SWTOR peeps before we lose you. If you're not going to stick around for the rest of the show, please, if you have any other ideas that are SWTOR specific contests, let us know. We're trying to get something where we can get Musco involved a little bit and remind him that I send him emails because he doesn't write me back. He never does.
No.
It's okay.
I don't think Musco knows who we are.
I met him like 8 times.
No, we've both met him a ton of times, and he's like,
We interviewed him.
we interviewed him. Yeah, okay. Whenever we see him at Comic-Con or any events, he knows us.
Yeah, he's busy.
But I think he knows us as Fat Man and Black Boy.
I think we have a show title. All right, let's. God, that would be the worst show title. I don't think we
Dude,
would
that's our new spin-off.
God, I think we would lose people in that one. Anyway, man, let's get to our Star Wars section, dude. We got some good stuff. I can't find the bumpers. Oh,
Well, really quick before you do that, I'm going to get into the podcast corner again because for those of you who weren't here last week, I have found what I think is arguably one of the best production valued studio podcasts. And it's a brilliant one by a guy named Aaron Mankey, and it's called Lore, and it's all based on worldwide folklore. And
this is the one you talked about last week, right?
yeah, and I just want to make sure because not everyone was here last week. But it's fantastic. It's been picked up by Amazon to start as a full-fledged series this fall, and it's exciting. It is so good. I've now listened to over 30 episodes.
Oh, you're killing it.
I am killing it. It is so good.
Nice, dude.
So definitely check it out. All right, bumpers.
Let's move on.
I was raised to do one thing. But I've got nothing to fight for.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
Snarky answers. Okay, so here we are. I couldn't pass
Dude,
that
you're
one
so
up.
snarky.
I know. I do what I do. All right, man. So we are in our Star Wars section, and man, there's some good stuff. Oh, you put more stuff.
I did.
Oh, it's exciting. Okay, go.
All right, so
Or is this me?
yeah, you did this first one.
Okay, so I don't know how up to date are you on Rebels?
I still have Twin Sons to watch, and that's it.
Oh, I almost told you today. I said,
You know,
we'll talk about it next week
You know
because
what's
I don't
funny?
want to spoil it.
Yeah, it's funny. A couple of days ago, I was actually going through what I had to watch.
Yeah.
And I literally double clicked on it, and the the Disney XD came up, and I'm like, I stopped it and I shut down my computer and I decided to read instead. That's a big step for me.
That's good. I'm glad you're reading.
So,
but that episode?
no, I've heard it's fantastic.
Well, we'll talk about it next week, I guess.
Yeah, I did read the article that Dave Filoni. I put it under Rebels, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But Dave Filoni had a little interview about what he thought about the
I read
duel.
that. That's good.
So actually, since we're talking about it, let's just talk about it really quick.
Sure.
And Filoni talked about how he's been in the Star Wars galaxies for a long time now because he's the showrunner for Rebels. He was behind Clone Wars.
Indeed.
And so basically, it's funny because Lucas basically did Darth Maul for Phantom Menace, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the whole Darth Maul saga has all been Filoni.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of like one of his children, right?
Indeed.
And so he was like, he's done epic lightsaber battles, and I guess this one was very short and sweet.
Oh, yeah.
And so
It was like my kids, because when they can see it coming and they're scaring them all anyway, what they do is they start to cover their eyes.
right.
And it happened. And I said, okay, we rewatched it a couple of times because they're like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of
And
battle.
the one thing I really love about what Filoni said,
Try to avoid spoilers.
not spoilers.
About the episode.
Yeah, this is a historical context thing.
Yeah.
It's that when Obi-Wan at this point has been living on Tatooine for quite a while, and he's really kind of trying to redeem himself in all of the mistakes he's made, and his anger trajectory started with that.
Yeah.
With
absolutely.
the fight on Naboo.
Well, losing Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
Yeah,
excuse
losing
me.
Qui-Gon and taking revenge, immediate revenge.
Right.
But in Maul's mind, his entire life fell apart in that moment. Well, literally, he died.
Right.
I mean, he did come back, but it's like, he's been seeking retribution since that moment, and it's now like 40 years later.
And think about this. You're a Sith. Like Maul. The anger never subsides.
No,
It's
and
always
the
on your
anger
forefront of your
drives
mind.
you.
And it actually, and I can't wait for you to watch the episode, there's like hints, and this isn't much of a spoiler because you've seen it if you've been watching Rebels, but there are hints of madness.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
absolute insanity on it's not full on, but it's there. So
What I love is like when he's introduced in Phantom Menace, you can basically tell that. I mean, even though if you know, he's a
Rat-Attack.
no, he's not. No, Rat-Attack is what.
He's Rat-Attack.
No,
Right?
he's not
Chat
a
room?
Rat-Attack. Are he's a Zabrak. Rat-Attack are the gray skinned ones.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I flip flopped it. Sorry,
yeah,
continue.
he's a Zabrak.
Yeah.
But he grew up with the Night Sisters,
Sisters, yeah.
and so I mean has a little bit of the magical side, which you would consider to be Inquisitor, but he's definitely a Juggernaut.
Oh yeah,
And he's basically was the henchman. He was like, you could tell that Palpatine never gave him really his due as an apprentice.
I don't know if would you classify him as a Jug in SWTOR? He's more Inquisitor, I think.
I think now
Oh, you think
he's
now?
definitely
Maybe.
worked that way. But he was
Agree
never
to disagree.
he was the enforcer in Phantom Menace.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He wasn't taught to think.
Yeah. No, I guess I'm just thinking more.
He's-
I'm
okay.
thinking MMO in my head.
Yeah, he's
Don't worry about that.
He's definitely a warrior.
Yeah.
I mean, Vader's obviously a Juggernaut.
Right.
But he's definitely a warrior, maybe not a Juggernaut.
Anyway,
But I just think that you can totally see his change too.
well,
And that's what Filoni was talking about, how these two paths, they both totally changed at that moment.
yeah. There was a couple quotes in here I wanted to pull out. The main one. What is it? It is really to express the difference between the Jedi and the Sith, which is the Jedi becomes selfless and the Sith remains selfish, right? When pressed, because Obi-Wan is protecting someone else in the end, he does fight, but he is so true and knows who he is in that moment. You have a hard time, you can't defeat that, which is pretty. And I told my kids as we're watching, I said, dude, we know he doesn't die because we see him later
In episode 4.
In episode 4, so it's gonna be okay.
And that moment when he's dueling Vader is the ultimate selflessness.
Exactly. So we're gonna come back to this next week after you watch it and that'll give the chat room so they don't have to cover their ears if we want to spoil anything. But I want to get your impressions on what this means for canon, Star Wars canon.
Okay, that's a really interesting because we're coming up on the 2-part finale soon. So.
Oh yeah. So it's getting really interesting. So
Absolutely.
let's move to our next thing here, which we got. Future Star Wars movies will reportedly visit classic planets.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, just like we see in the MMO, anytime they introduce a new planet, be it Iokath or Jeddah or anything like that.
Indeed.
It's really cool to see new things. But when they can revisit classic planets in a different viewpoint, like, can you imagine if we've seen a little bit more of Yavin 4 from Rogue One,
Right.
because that's where the base was.
Which I love that they keep going back there.
Exactly. But can you imagine them being able to show more of the jungle side of it?
That'd be cool.
And not just the interior and exterior of the temples.
Right.
Of the Masasi temples. But can you also imagine, especially with the reintroduction of the concept of it in the episode of Rebels 2 weeks ago, what if they actually showed Dantooine?
That'd be sick.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So stuff like that. I mean, that's what I'm hoping. I mean, of course I'd like to see him go back to Hoth or Tatooine or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would like him to revisit the planets that never really got the screen time that they deserve.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, and I'm glad you said Hoth, because this is something I was thinking about too. Do you think that in the kind of the vein of episode 7, they'll kind of revisit they'll mirror one of the scenes from Empire? Meaning, will they go to, I mean, I guess they had the snow in episode 7, but like, do you think they'll have a Hoth battle or something like that?
Well, I mean,
in episode 8. I'm just curious.
I think that they're probably going to have an attack on the base of some sort of whether that base is on Hoth or
Right.
anything like that. I mean, obviously, there's going to be retribution coming from the First Order.
Indeed.
And that, I mean, it's just like what happened. I mean, the Death Star got blown up at the end of 4, retribution at the beginning of 5.
Good
and
point.
it's going to be the same thing with 7 and 8, I would think. But if they do go back to something like Hoth, Hoth had such, and even Tatooine had such limited, even though it was on screen a lot, you didn't see a lot of the planet, and they're both huge planets. I mean, you heard
and
reference.
do you think the entire planet of Hoth is ice? Because remember, I mean, we've seen other planets.
Right.
Not every planet is one ecosystem.
No, but I mean, if you
But Hoth is.
if
there
you
are
look at
ice planets,
SWTOR, it
though.
is an ice planet.
Yeah.
It does have volcano on it, things on it because it's just the way it is. But like, if they were to go back to Tatooine, we saw a lot more in 4. Like, we saw a little bit of Beggar's Canyon.
That's true.
But they were focusing mostly on the pod race and not the thing. I would like to see more of like the Dune Sea or the.
Right. And I think that we're gonna get a lot of the classic stuff in the Han Solo film.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And actually, I don't think we talked about it last week, and I don't think we brought it up this week. Is that that they could be showing a good chunk of Corellia on screen in Han Solo?
So cool. And that would bring all of our KOTOR, SWTOR folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if they focused on not just saying, okay, well, this is Corellia and it's a new planet, but if they focused on things that we know about Corellia,
Indeed,
about the different biomes and the different and the Cornet Zoo,
right?
Which is
and what happened to the planet, right?
Exactly.
Because especially when we see it, I mean, and I'm curious to see what it is in the time when Han is growing up, because
it's a major space ship. It's a basic
Spaceport.
shipbuilding planet.
Right. Well, but I guess, and then when we see it in SWTOR, it's been ravaged by something.
Right, but you got to remember that's 3,000 years old.
No, I get it, but
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm just curious.
Exactly, but what
I'm hoping to get a little history as well.
but what I love about it is he's from Corellia, but he goes. I mean, and this is what I'm assuming because this is what has been his history before, is that he goes to the Imperial Navy, right?
Yeah.
He being Han. But the thing about Corellia is the planet where most of the Rebel flagships were built. You had the Corellian cruisers and the Corvettes and everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whereas the Imperial Star Destroyers were built in the Quad Drive yards.
Right, in the big shipyards. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm kind of I hope that they show that side of it.
Yeah, me too. Boy, we got geeky.
We totally got geeky there.
I feel like we should be playing Star Wars trivia or something. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
This one trips me out because as a parent, this would be a trip. And Did you see? Did you see this?
I read the headline,
Okay.
and basically the headline is Laura Dern, who is part of Episode 8, reveals how far she's gone to keep her Star Wars role secret. You gotta remember, this isn't Laura Dern's first rodeo with major franchise. I mean,
Right.
she was in Jurassic Park. And so she has, I mean, so she's worked with Spielberg. She's worked with major directors before, so she has that experience.
And what trips me out about this is, obviously, they're not allowed to say anything.
Of course not.
In a recent interview with Yahoo, the star admitted she won't tell a word about a role to any of her family, not even her kids.
Well,
And
of
I
course,
think-
it's, kids. I mean, we both work in high school. Kids like to tell things that they know.
Well, and I get that, and it's just, could you imagine? I mean, if I was like, hey kids, I'm working on the next Star Wars movie, but I can't tell you even because they're like, can't you just tell us who you play? And she's like, no, because the problem is there's, as soon as she says it, there's a pressure on the kids to keep the secret. Then there's the issue of if they let the secret out, then they have to deal with that.
Yes.
Because
So
she's in trouble. So
even though it's harder for her,
Yeah.
it solves a whole bunch more problems.
right.
Now, in conjunction with that, we have our next piece of news,
Right.
which Woody Harrelson has said what the name of his character is going to be in Han Solo.
I didn't see this. I don't even know what this is, dude.
Okay, well, he basically, I mean, he didn't come out and say anything about the
You
character.
say the name of the character,
he
though?
gave the name of his character.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Do you want to know?
Well, I'm reading the article. Tell me. I haven't seen it.
His character name is Beckett, which is not a name in the EU or anything in Star Wars canon so far. So, yeah, so there's that.
And he doesn't say what he's doing?
No, he just
But we
says
also
the
know
name.
he's a mentor role.
Exactly. They could be reappropriating a character with a new name.
Yeah.
My
My guess is it's going to be somebody maybe that shows, Han the ropes of gambling and smuggling and stuff like that.
yeah, that's what I would guess.
You know-
He would basically be, gosh, what's that guy's name from Rebels that was to Ezra? The alien with the glasses.
Oh. Give me a sec. Anyway, yeah.
that sort of
Hondu.
character. Yeah, Hondu.
Hondu.
He would be that sort of character to
Yeah.
Han that Hondu is to Ezra.
Indeed.
Yeah, but honestly, in my mind, when the name Beckett comes up, the first thing that comes up to me is Sam Beckett from Quantum Leap.
Interesting.
And then, of course, Beckett from Castle. Those are the two things that jump out to me.
Well, I'm intrigued. I think he's going to be just and I think Woody's going to play that role really well. Like the kind of smarmy but charismatic kind of mentor kind of guy. Like I want to think that that's kind of where Han gets his little swagger from.
Right.
A little bit, and how to move through the world in a casual way.
Right.
Not give too much away, but also, do his job.
Yeah.
It'd be
Okay,
cool.
I have a little side note here on
Are you side noting?
on Woody Harrelson.
Are you tangenting?
Yeah, well, because I don't have a link for it, but it was either in...
It's not in the outline, dude. I don't know.
No, it wasn't last night's, but it was the night before's, and it was either The Daily Show or At Midnight. I can't remember which one. But they announced that Woody Harrelson has given up pot.
I saw that, and I'm like, wait. Hopefully after he filmed Han Solo, but it's not a thing.
No.
They're about to start filming, right?
Yeah, they're about to start filming. So I'm the first thing that jumped in my mind is like, was this part of the insurance agreement for Star Wars?
That's interesting.
Because being an outspoken proponent of pot, and he says he still is for the legalization, of course, and,
Yeah.
and for other people using, but he personally is not using it. I'm wondering if it's because it's. I mean, it's like when you hire Matthew McConaughey and you do because everybody has to get bonded by an insurance company when you go into a movie
Right.
lot. For being such a proponent and outspoken user, you can actually say, "Hey, now,
Yeah, you're gonna come work for Disney.
yeah,
Could you not do that for a little while?
yeah."
at
And of
least?
course, this is coming from the company that had a whole bunch of writers come up with Alice in Wonderland. They were
There's-
all high doing that.
Trust me, there's a reason I love that movie.
Exactly.
That movie's a trip.
But I found that interesting. So it'd be something interesting to come out after the fact if that were the case.
Indeed. I didn't read through this. Did you see this? This Alan Tudyk thing?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Alan Tudyk says that he wants to be in Han Solo, and it was an interesting thing because he thought they'd already finished filming,
Right.
right? And then the person interviewing him said, "No, they're just about to start filming." He goes, "Really?" And he would love to be in that because he would like it to be because he's also been a proponent of he and Diego Luna getting a spinoff movie
Oh yeah, that'd be
about
sick.
their origins of when Diego Luna was still young,
Right.
and
Comes across
K2 he was still in the Imperial service.
right.
So that would be interesting. But it would be kind of interesting. I mean, he doesn't have to be a main star, but he's saying it would be cool to just have him be
Like,
on
walk
Corellia.
by.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be cool. He says I would like it. I don't think it's possible because I think they're done with the Han Solo one, aren't they? And then the guy said, and he's like, "Oh, they just started. That would be cool."
Yeah.
Like, so maybe they'll throw him in there. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to just, because it's just as an offhand thing, but I think if they're going to do it, they have to make it where he's working for the Imperial side still.
Indeed. All right, last thing we have in here is merchandise stuff.
Yes. These
and
are awesome.
These are really cool. So Funko is debuting exclusive Star Wars Celebration pop figures. Shocking. Funko's coming out with more.
I know, right?
It's hard to believe. I know. But that one looks so
Yeah, they came out with,
cool.
I believe it's 6 or 8 today.
Here, let's do it.
And I posted them all to my Funko board on Pinterest, so be sure you check those out. But they're awesome. One is Rey on a speeder. Another one, the one I love is...
Hold on. I'm gonna help. I want the chat to see this, man.
Oh, okay. So you guys can see these really quick. They're very cool. If you don't know about Funko Pops, it's a great company based out of Everett, Washington, which is where we both used to live. And actually, one of my friends and her sister both work at Funko. So I am going to get in touch with her and see if maybe we can set up an interview with somebody from Funko at Comic-Con.
I'm gonna do this kind of ghetto. I'm gonna
Yeah, that's totally fine.
slap it over here. But check this out.
Yeah, check this. So we got Rey on a speeder. We got a young Han Solo.
Oh, that's sick.
We've got
How do you say that?
Garinden?
Garinden.
Yeah.
Garinden. Yeah.
And he's the one who from episode 4 who
Who rats him out?
rats out the location of the Millennium Falcon on. I love this one.
Oh, that is so
the
cool.
Force Ghost Qui-Gon. Because if you remember from canon, Qui-Gon is the first Jedi to figure out how to become a Force Ghost.
Chopper. And that's the he's undercover on the Imperial side.
Yes.
Because that's not even his
Yeah, because it
colors.
doesn't have his orange colors.
Exactly. That's cool. And
Isn't that good?
how sick is that? What is that? Wobblers? Bobbleheads?
Yeah, that's a
Oh, it's a
bobblehead.
bobblehead.
Yes.
Do you know how bad I want that?
Okay.
Do you have any
You
idea
know what I
how bad
really,
I want that?
really, really hope?
What?
Please tell me it's a bobblehead that the head comes off.
Why?
If it were Jango Fett, it would make sense.
I see where you're going with that. It took me a second, but I got you. Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
But this one is by far my favorite.
Oh, the
Yeah, but I'd actually really like this one too.
yeah, that one's cool. My favorite's
And
the
that one.
Qui-Gon one.
Yeah, that one's cool too.
But
All
it's
right.
cool seeing the young Han Solo.
Indeed.
But anyway, so that was just the first batch. Evidently, they released the second batch today, but it hadn't been posted before we went to air.
Right.
So I will be checking that out tomorrow, and I will post those to my Pinterest page tomorrow, as well as the Justice League stuff that gets released every day. So
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff.
yeah, so
on
keep an eye on my Pinterest board.
there. Cool. And that link I should say too. The on our website, usualpodcast.com, we have a bunch of hit the mic like an amateur. I have a bunch of links to social media, and the Pinterest page now links to Will's Pinterest page, I think.
Yeah, because it was hard to do.
I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah, because you changed it.
If not, I ruined it.
All right, so we're moving on to the usual roundup.
Already?
I know we're fast.
I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm just kidding. All right, let's move on.
Depends on the context.
Context.
I can't imagine any kind of future where I'm a hero. Well, you're not. In the future, none of you are heroes. You're legends.
By the way, how current are you on that stuff? Because I would have loved to talk to you about this week, but if you're behind, I'm going to be mad. at you.
I have not watched.
Oh, here we go.
Dude, I hate
Just kidding.
you.
Continue. We're going to talk about Logan.
Yeah, we'll talk about Logan in a second, but I'll leave Berlanti
Yeah,
until we get to that.
let's wait till we get to Berlanti. I was just giving you crap because we just watched DC last night. We're current on Arrow.'re current on Flash, Arrow, and DC.
Did you watch the duets? The musical episode?
Yeah, did you?
No, not yet.
Oh, I was hoping you would because I want to talk about. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, I'm up to date on.
That is the bee's knees.
Yeah, I have last week's episodes of Legends and Arrow, and then this week. So
Sweet.
I'm 6 episodes behind.
Well, and it's better if we stagger a little bit. So we're going to talk about Flash Duet next week, Flash, Arrow, and DC.
Yeah, well, also next week is Legends finale because they only have 16
That's right.
or 17 episodes this week.
Did you see the one before that, though?
I've watched Moonshot, but I haven't watched Fellowship of the Spirit yet. Oh my God! Okay, but I mean, I do have a little bit of news about that. We'll get to it when we get to Berlin.
All right. I'm jumping the gun.
Hey,
I just got excited.
Logan, you finally went and saw it.
Yeah.
How phenomenal was Hugh Jackman in
How
that?
dark is that movie?
So dark. How many times can you stab a
I know.
fool in the head?
All right, so for the next few minutes, those of you in the chat room, if you haven't seen Logan, don't leave us. Maybe just go get a beverage and come back and, that kind of thing. But we're going to talk about Logan at the top of the roundup this week. Since it's been out, 2 weeks now?
Yeah.
So I feel like if you've seen it, you're going to see it. If not, I'm sorry, but cover your ears for a minute. So 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Okay, so Logan. Holy crap. That movie.
I know, right?
That movie's ridiculous. And how good is Patrick Stewart?
He is so good.
And I can't remember the actor's name, the one who played Caliban.
Stephen Merchant.
Okay.
Okay, and he's famous because he's worked a long time with Ricky Gervais.
Okay.
And so he was one of the main guys behind the original UK Office.
So, overall, I love the film. My thing was I was going to be halfway through. I was kind of bitter a little bit.
Right.
Only because she didn't talk. I was like, are they going to go the whole movie
You
without
thought
her
she was going to
talking?
talk the entire movie?
Well, and I haven't read the Old Man Logan stuff. I don't know that storyline. I didn't know how close to the comics they were with it.
Right.
I love the X-24 stuff. Like the X-24, the de-aging.
Oh, I know. Okay. I want to get your opinion on this.
I'm ready.
Okay, because they've been saying a lot about this whole production cycle.
Steve went for a drink.
This whole production cycle that Hugh Jackman was done playing Wolverine.
Right.
Okay, he may be done playing Wolverine. Will he be playing X-24 from now on?
God, I hope so. I don't think he will.
Not as a star, obviously, but could they bring him back as X-24?
But
can you imagine having him be the villain now?
yeah, but they also kind of got rid of him a little bit in that movie. Or did they?
Did they really?
I don't know. And I don't know. I also kept thinking they were going to do like a Superman kind of thing at the end and have him like regenerate and come out of it. But anyway.
Although, okay, I will say one thing. I did have one pet peeve.
Yeah.
And it was a visual pet peeve. And I would give it, it was a beautiful moment at the very end after they buried him.
Yeah.
And Laura runs back and changes the cross to an X.
You didn't like that?
No, I loved it.
Oh.
I love the fact that she made it an X. But the fact that it had to be a cross first, at no point ever has Logan ever shown himself to be religious.
Okay, so in their defense, to counter what you're saying, I thought of it as some of the kids were religious, and they were like, well, we have to put an X because
they grew up in a
grave.
freaking science thing. They would have absolutely nothing to do with religion.
All right.
And honestly, I don't care because I still think it's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And there's no way to get to the X unless you already have the cross.
Good point. Yeah. Right.
Just thinking about it canonically, I didn't see. But honestly, they didn't know him at all either.
Right.
They could have assumed that he
they
maybe
were like,
did.
well, maybe he was religious. Okay,
but I did love it that she changed it to an X.
I'm gonna talk about my darkest favorite moment, and then I'm gonna talk about overall just what I want to talk about. So the main thing, what really stood out to me was I guess probably second act, they're basically holding up with the black family.
Yeah.
In the farm, in the farmhouse.
How nice was it to see Eric LaSalle back on screen?
Oh, that whole thing was great. They're sitting there at the table, they're doing their thing, but because of the tone of the film, that none of that was going to go well.
No.
But they did it in a way to where, and this an Arrow is lighter than this movie, obviously. But there are moments they're leading up, everything's okay, and they're going to shut it down. But the way they shut it down, I don't want to give too many spoilers away in case people are just hanging out there. But it was one of those moments like, I love this movie because it's so dark, but man, they did a good job in really destroying that little bit of hope that was there, right? So ultimately, I really thoroughly enjoyed the film. I'd like to see it again. I honestly think that little girl is ridiculous.
Oh, she's a great actress.
Some of the best action scenes I've seen in a movie.
And I can't wait for them
Period.
to pull her into more stuff.
You know what it reminded me of a little bit now that I think about it? Like when I first saw the first Matrix movie. And
Yes.
you know, and when you see that scene when they're going in, they're raiding the building and
you see Carrie-Anne Moss do the first run around the wall.
and they're flipping off the things and stuff. It was like, oh my God, that blew my mind. Like some of the stuff they do in this was just ridiculous. Like the flipping over people's heads and stuff. It was sick. It was really cool. Anyway, I don't want to give away too much, and I don't want to spend too much time on reviewing the film. But I don't know. Where does it stand as far as X-Men films for you? Or
the best.
Yeah, by far.
Previously, I thought First Class was the best.
First Class was good.
First Class was
Quality.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But this one, it was exactly what it had to be.
Yeah.
I have one question for you.
Oh.
At the very end, obviously when he's dying,
Yeah.
and he's leaning on the rock,
Yeah.
and she's holding his hand,
Right.
and he says the words, "So this is what it feels like."
Right.
Do you think he's referencing love, or is he referencing dying? Because he's never felt either.
Well,
He's felt infatuation with Jean Grey before.
no, I would say I would say he's felt love. Honestly. I think
Well, okay, he's felt love,
Yeah.
romantic love.
Right.
He's never felt familial
No,
love.
but
and that was Patrick Stewart's main thing.
that's true, but he was with the X-Men for so long. He got along. You know what I'm saying? Like I think whether he admitted it or not, kind of like a Mick kind of thing.
Well, it'd be
in
a
DC's.
definite camaraderie.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I think
mean,
it's
he
death.
sees her as her daughter,
I think
his daughter.
honestly, man, I think it's death. Only in that.
That's what I thought. But
How
everyone that I
many-
talked to at school thought it was the other one.
How many times do you think he died and then woke
He's
up?
died so many times, but he's never felt death.
Right, which is I think what he was talking about. I don't want to go with the love thing honestly because it doesn't make to me.
It makes more sense, and it's definitely more James Mangold too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's the death thing. I don't know. Chat room, chime in if you want. Just put my earphones back.
Yeah. Okay. So we're done with Logan. So you
We just
can,
ruined it. It's
yeah,
no big deal.
So you can come back.
We're good. Come on back. Yeah. So movie's great. Go see it if you haven't seen it. Sorry if we screwed you up.
No, he didn't. He was just.
He said he heard something.
Yeah. Well.
He'll be okay.
Yeah, so come on back, and that was my brother who stepped away for a couple minutes, and he texted me and said that he's got his usual, and it's a Meister Pills
Yeah, nice.
from a German company. So fantastic. That's
Kick
great,
ass.
Steve. Thanks for joining us and imbibing in a nice frosty beverage.
Having a frosty beverage with us. So movie news. We have a bunch of stuff here.
Yeah, we do. Okay, Jurassic World star. Jurassic World 2 is currently filming. This is definitely clickbait because you're thinking, oh, okay, well, they're not going to be bringing back because his Jurassic World star likely won't return for sequel.
Guess what picture they put up?
Yeah, and they put up Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
So of course you're thinking Chris Pratt or Bryce Dallas Howard or something like that. No, it's Judy Greer. Which don't get me wrong, I love Judy Greer.
Oh, we all do.
One of my favorite
Archer fans
people.
love her.
Yeah, she plays Cheryl.
Yeah.
In Archer, and
So
she's
good.
fantastic. And she came out with her autobiography a few years ago, and I can't remember the exact title of it, but it was basically that she's always the best friend of the leading lady.
Oh, that's funny.
Because she was the best friend in one of the Jennifer Lopez romantic comedies, but she was in
I
What
don't
Women
watch
Want
those.
and all this stuff. But she's never been a leading lady, and I love her to death. So.
Let me know when my mic goes out. I'm gonna run out of batteries.
So she's great. So it looks like she won't be returning. Right now, she's not on a shot sheet, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
look
fine.
like it.
She'll be all right. Ian McKellen is talking about returning as Gandalf.
Okay, did you actually read this article?
Yeah, no,
Okay, it's not in a movie.
not all the way. Yeah, I thought
He
so.
is doing a one-man stage
I did read
production
this.
in England. It's going to be happening this summer, and I think he's doing it for 6 straight nights. And look up the name. But
Yeah, no, I got it. It says the show is called Tolkien, Shakespeare, Others, and You, and it'll feature highlights from the actor's storied career. McKellen will be portraying some of his most famous roles on stage, including Gandalf, which is badass.
Yeah. So I mean, Ian McKellen has one of my favorite
6
things.
nights, July 3rd through 9th.
Cool. One of my favorite pictures of Ian McKellen is he wears that shirt and he says, "I'm Magneto and Gandalf and gay. Deal with it."
I love it, dude.
It's brilliant. But he's
He's
had
so
such a storied career.
freaking good.
I mean, I would say of that older actor, right? That's just, I mean, I hate to say that, they're just now passing away, right? So Ian McKellen,
Yeah.
Christopher Lee, Patrick Stewart.
They're up there, dude.
You know, all those people. I would say he's probably my second favorite badass behind Christopher Lee.
Oh yeah, Christopher Lee was intense.
Christopher Lee did so much shit in his life.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry.
Thanks for making me
Sorry, drop the
edit.
S-bomb.
Wow.
Um,
No, they I mean, I don't know. I love Ian McKellen. I love his Gandalf. I just think that would be so cool to see live on stage, him doing that. That'd be so cool.
yeah, absolutely. I do have a quote from Christopher Lee that I want to look up. I'll bring up in a second. Go on to the next one, and I'll
Okay.
come back to it.
Arnold Schwarzenegger reportedly finished with the Terminator franchise. You didn't see this one coming, did you?
Okay, no, but I did watch last week's Family Guy,
Oh yeah.
and there was an ongoing joke throughout the whole episode that Schwarzenegger was dressed up as Terminator, going from house to house, saying that he had to save the world by banging everybody's nanny. And they're saying, "We know it's you, Arnold." And
Right.
he's like, "No, I'm the Terminator.
That's awesome.
I need to bang your nanny."
So, basically, a source close to this is on comicbook.com. New York Daily News reported that Arnold's finally hanging up the sod off and calling it quits. It's all over for Terminator and Arnold. The source says the studio has taken the sequel off the production slate completely, meaning there's no pre-production or any plans for another sequel. The talent had been offered long-term deals, but that is not happening. Genesis movie was a scene of reviving the franchise, but the critics were not stoked with it, etc. So, makes sense. I mean, he's doing other things anyway. He can't keep going back to that role anyway.
No, of course not.
Plus, is it time finally? Is it time? And I know I harp on this a lot. Is it time to finally stop trying to revise universes?
It's interesting you brought up that question
Because we're going to talk about the Matrix again.
we are, but this is something completely different.
Oh,
I'm going to bring up something in Disney in a
Nifty.
little bit, but we'll get to that second.
We'll
I
get
brought
to
up the Christopher Lee thing.
Okay.
I just want to read it for everybody really quick. It's a meme that had gone around, especially right after he died. But I'm just going to read it because this is how impressive Sir Christopher Lee was. It says, Sir Christopher Lee. He was Dracula. He was a Bond villain. He was Sherlock and Mycroft Holmes. He was Death. He was Lucifer. He was Count Dooku. He was Saruman. He was Lord Summersisle. He recorded a heavy metal concept album about Charlemagne. He hunted Nazis during World War II. He was part of a secret agent unit called the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. When told by Peter Jackson to imagine how a man being stabbed in the back sounds, he told him he didn't have to imagine it. He's fluent in English, Italian, French, German, and Spanish, moderately proficient in Swedish, Russian, and Greek, and conversational in Mandarin Chinese.
Jesus, could you imagine?
Now let's see Chuck Norris top that.
Well,
Can
wow.
you imagine Peter Jackson and being on the set of Lord of the Rings and saying, okay, Chris,
Okay,
because of course
Chris.
you know Peter called him Chris.
I'd be like Mr. Lee.
Exactly. So Mr. Lee, in this scene, I want you to imagine, just in your mind, imagine what it's like, the sound you would hear of a knife going into a man's back, and he looks at him and says, "I don't have to imagine that.
He's like, dude,
I did it."
I've done that probably more than once. All right.
Exactly. Okay, so yeah, I that was my shout out to Christopher Lee. So there we go.
Big bucket of win, or is that biting? from someone
Cauldron,
else?
huge cauldron of win.
All right, Men in Black, dude. Men in Black 4? It's not a thing.
Yeah, well, you know, they've been trying to get it back. You know, they were trying to get Sonnenfeld back. They were trying to get Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones and stuff. And you know, at this point, you just kind of have to say it's not going to happen. The third one was okay. It didn't make as much money as everyone wanted to.
But
it's
this
also it's hard
point-
to fit it into Smith's schedule.
how many years are we talking here in between?
Well, the
Again,
first one came out in '97, and then it was '99, and then
2002?
no,
1?
it was it was just like 5 years ago. I want to say 2011.
It came out that late?
For the
Okay.
third one?
Maybe I'm tripping. Okay. Yeah, but I'm I don't know. As much as I'd like to see it, and I would see it.
I love the Men in Black concept. I think if they were to do it, Honestly, it would. They've had a Men in Black cartoon. If they were to reboot that, I think it would be better. I don't think it's good enough to do a movie right now.
Cool. Never saw this in theater. Triple X, the return of Xander Cage.
No, I did not, but it is coming out on.
We're here, guys. We're at Artworks Tattoo Shop in Nashville, Tennessee.
Blu-ray,
Charlie originally owns
DVD
the
on
Triple
demand,
X
all that,
tattoo, and we're finally going to get it. Charlie, you're the
I'll watch it. I watched the first two. The first one was entertaining. The second one was entertaining for the fact you get to see Ice Cube in a wetsuit.
Yeah, which is entertaining.
So
Let's talk about The Matrix again.
okay, we talked about this for 2 straight weeks. The first week we talked about how Keanu Reeves said he would be willing to come back if the Wachowskis were on board.
Indeed.
Last week we talked about how it already had been in Warner Brothers' minds.
Indeed.
And they're looking at rebooting the series. This week,
we have the new Matrix movie is rumored to be a Morpheus prequel. How do you feel about that?
I'm actually more on board with that.
Yeah, me too. I was hoping you were going to say that because I didn't want to have an argument.
2 things. They either have to do the de-aging of Samuel Jackson or of Lawrence Fishburne and have him do it, or you have to get somebody who can pull that off. Like
De-age him. Do a Logan on him.
do it, but for a whole movie,
I don't know. It's pushing it.
that's pushing it.
And pushing it monetarily for sure.
Oh, absolutely. That would cost so much money. Or you'd have to go with somebody like John Boyega or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm on board with that as long as you follow it from... I mean, in as much as we give crap to The Force Awakens for mirroring A New Hope, if they mirrored the first Matrix by having it when Morpheus is coming out of the battery tank.
Oh, yeah. Like when he first emerges.
Right.
That'd be sick.
Because...
And who recruits him and all
Exactly.
that.
Because, I
That'd be
mean,
sick, yeah.
with all the religious subtext in the Matrix...
Oh, wait. There's religious... I'm joking. Continue.
Which, if you would like to read up on it, you can check that out at my personal website at willgriggs.wordpress.com.
Wow. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. But yeah, I wrote an academic essay on the Matrix trilogy and the religious subtext. But the fact that Morpheus is clearly the John the Baptist to Morpheus is Jesus, right?
Yeah.
If you look at it from that angle. I think it would be really interesting to see that. Because in that concept, John the Baptist is the forerunner for Jesus, right? So you know... Mm-hmm. If you're John the Baptist, you don't know you're John the Baptist. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah.
So I would find it fascinating to see how Morpheus comes to terms with what his destiny is.
Indeed. I think I think it'd be a good shoot. Throw a trilogy at it. Make it a whole thing. You know they're going to do it. They're not going to just come up with... Let me just tell you. They're not going to do just one movie.
No.
They're going to do at least 2.
They're going to announce a trilogy. The first one's going to be good. The second one's going to suck. They're going to red light the third one.
So the Matrix trilogy over again.
I am a defender of the second and
I
third
know,
Matrix
man. And we
movies.
talked about this last week. I'm into those movies. I like those. The last thing we have here in movie news is first look at Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt in Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Okay, I was never actually a huge MST3K fan.
Well, I never saw it.
I love the concept.
Yeah.
And the 3 guys who did it, they've actually guested on At Midnight a few times, and they are hilarious. I love them, and they're all like in their 50s and 60s now. They're so funny. But I love Felicia Day, and I love Patton Oswalt.
Both these guys together on screen.
I'm
man,
on board with this.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So I'll check it out for sure. I try to check out most things Felicia Day does.
Of course, just to support her.
You know, I try to support people I like. So here we are.
Yeah, we just have a couple of casting news. The one you had in there before I moved down
Oh, that's fine.
to the Sony section.
I don't even care.
We had a couple of bits of news about the new, the next Mission Impossible coming out, Mission Impossible 6, and it looks like Vanessa Kirby, who was in.
What did she do?
I think she's in The Crown on Netflix, but I'm not sure. But Henry Cavill is being brought in.
She was in The Crown.
Yeah. So,
I know her. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Henry Cavill from obviously Superman.
Yeah.
Is going to be brought in. So that's fantastic. But it's awesome. It's like, if you think about it, it's obviously a Tom Cruise centered movie.
Indeed.
But since that, we've brought in, what's Simon Pegg's role in Star Trek?
In Star Trek.
McCoy.
Yeah.
They brought in McCoy from Star Trek.
Thanks.
They brought in McCoy from Star Trek. They've brought in Jeremy Renner from Bourne. They've brought in now, Superman.
Yeah.
It's like the MI6 team is becoming like a superhero squad.
No, I love it. That's awesome. Dad, get out of here.
And plus, what
Sorry,
I
my
love
dog
is
entered the room.
an unfortunate effect that they've had with the Mission Impossible movies is they keep changing their female lead.
Indeed.
Right, which is understandable because in
Keep talking.
in the first one, kind of all the female leads died, so you can kind of like give it with that. And the second one, they kind of just forgot Thandie Newton, was there. The third one, they got married, and so
Right.
they kind of protected that. But what I love about it is they're bringing back Rebecca Ferguson.
Oh, cool.
Because it was really the first time that they had a female lead that was his equal.
And I think that has to be more. I don't think I saw that one. I saw the first two. But I think that's important. And I think they're going to have to keep going forward with stuff like that in today's times.
Oh, absolutely. If it's had its ups and downs because obviously I wasn't a huge fan of the second one, even though it did have Anthony Hopkins in it. But you got to remember, J.J. Abrams did the third one. Brad Bird has come on to do the last two.
Right.
Or no, he did the fourth one. But then Christopher McQuarrie got brought on to do Rogue Nation, which is fantastic.
Yeah, totally.
I loved that. And Christopher McQuarrie is really good, and they're bringing him back for the sixth one.
Cool, dude. So we're going to get into Berlanti, and we'll be out of here pretty quick. But the idea here is, again, since in my outline is trailers.
Yes.
And if you missed the beginning of the show live on Twitch, and you're not a patron, you won't hear us talking about and watching trailers anymore.
Right.
We're cutting that out of the main show, but you can go to patreon.com/usual podcast. And this week we will have a video exclusive to you guys of us watching trailer. We have Baywatch and The Circle, a bunch of cool stuff.
The Circle, Handmaid's Tale, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to jump to Universal and get into Berlanti and Flash. And let's talk about Flash, dude. So you didn't watch? I put this stuff in here because I was hoping you'd watched it.
I haven't had
push it to next
I had to track meet last night.
No, it's
I
fine.
didn't get home until like almost 11 last night.
I forgive you.
Yeah, so I haven't watched that stuff yet. I'm hoping to, I don't have a practice tomorrow, and I don't have a meet on Saturday. So this weekend, I'm going to be catching up on a whole bunch of TV.
Yeah, so, and it's a precursor to the people who are in the chat, of course, and may or may not have watched the show that just came out, Tuesday?
And actually, let's take one more step back. For people like, if you don't know who Berlanti is, let's give this little, because we actually haven't done this in a few months.
We haven't done this in a while.
Greg Berlanti is the mastermind and showrunner, well, not showrunner, the mastermind and the creative genius behind the CWDC universe.
Indeed.
So it's Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl. It also includes Constantine, which is no longer on the air,
right,
and the cartoons of Vixen? No.
Wait, what is it? The Vixen we talked about.
Yeah, Vixen. Is that the animal?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vixen. Because that's 2 seasons of cartoons, and her grandmother is now on Legends. But Greg Berlanti is also behind
Blind Spot
and
Riverdale.
Thank you. You are
I'm
on
killing
fire tonight.
I've only had 2 beers. That's
but we call it the Berlantiverse. A lot of people call it the Arrowverse or the Flareoverse because
I hate that.
I hate the Flareoverse.
It's the worst. Can't even say it. It's dumb.
Yeah, actually, if you look on my boards on Pinterest, it's labeled the Arrowverse because I've just never renamed it since Arrowverse. But yeah, it's so many shows now. I just call it the Berlantiverse. So in this section, we talk about Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, and Arrow. We have no Arrow news this week, but Flash had their duets musical crossover with Supergirl. Because, of course, Grant Gustin, who plays The Flash, and Melissa Benoist, who plays Supergirl, were both on Glee.
And so the wife and I were watching this last night, and we watched this episode last night. What was kind of crazy is we stopped watching Glee before either of them were on the show.
Yeah, me too.
And so she didn't believe me. I was like, dude, they were both on Glee.
Yeah, they both joined in like season 5.
And I only said that because you had said that.
Right.
One of them was on longer than the other, and I don't remember which one. But I think Grant was on longer than Benoist.
Yeah, because he was on over a course of a couple of seasons.
Yeah, he was there like season 3 through 5.
Right, because
and Benoist
he
was only there
joined
for
the Warblers, which was the rival all-male choir.
That's right around the time we stopped.
Which is ironic because he kind of became one of the leaders of that group. And the original leader of that group was a guy named Darren Criss.
Indeed.
Who is the guy who played Music Maestro in this crossover.
Which was insanely... I promise I won't do any spoilers. The episode is phenomenal.
Yeah, the one
I'm
thing,
not a big musical guy, but oh
okay,
my
you know
God,
me. I love musical
I know.
theater,
You're gonna love this episode.
and what I love is that not only do Grant and Melissa have song and dance background from Glee, but Jesse L. Martin, who plays Detective West.
oh yeah.
He's from the original cast of Rent and a whole bunch of stuff. And then you've got...
And the older guy who plays... he must have done a bunch of theater too, right?
Oh, yeah. No, he was in the... I want to say he was in the original cast of...
Professor Stein.
Yeah, he plays Professor Stein, and he was in Alias.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say he was in the original cast of Company.
Oh, okay.
And I think Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, no. Maybe it's Godspell.
Well, you'll figure it out.
I'll look it up.
But the reason I'm bringing this up is there's a cool article in here that ranks the musical numbers in that episode,
yeah.
which is cool. And there's another link I have in here that says the crossover soundtrack obviously is now available. So if you like the music in that episode, which the music is cool, man, you'll really.
Are they
dig it.
all original songs or?
As far as I know, yes. They all were. Most of them, I'd say 90% of them were.
Okay.
No, she sings Moon River
Oh, really?
in the beginning.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So
If you don't know Moon River, it's obviously the quintessential song from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
yeah, so most of them are original, which is cool.
Okay, really quick.
Yeah.
The guy's name was Victor Garber, and he was the original Jesus in Godspell.
Okay.
But he also played the designer of the ship in Titanic. Remember, he's the one.
Oh, he
fixing the
did. That's
clock?
right. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So
knew
there's
that was
that.
That's cool.
He also played John Wilkes Booth in the movie Assassins.
Neat. All right, man. Should we get to Legends? I don't want to spend too much time on this since you haven't seen it, but you're
I
gonna say
watched
something else.
No, I watched Moonshot, which is fantastic. That was a really good episode, and I really can't wait to watch the Fellowship of the Spear. But Mark Guggenheim, who's the actual showrunner for Legends, who he works in concert with Greg Berlanti, he's actually come out and said that with the Legion of Doom getting control of the Spear, it's introducing Doom World.
Sweet.
So, and that's going to come up in the season finale. But
if I've watched the episode,
so
it
don't
makes
spoil
sense.
it for me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Except for you do see the Hall of Doom in the episode.
All right.
But the important thing about Doom World is that it's going to affect the other shows.
Kind of like Flashpoint.
Yes, exactly. And the way that they announced that is they showed concept art of Felicity Smoke in a costume, mask and everything. So evidently in Doom World, maybe she actually becomes an actual fighting version of
Overwatch.
Well, she's already Overwatch, but maybe she became Oracle.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe it's a different timeline kind of thing.
Exactly.
That'd be cool, man. I'm excited. All right, so Supergirl, I am woefully behind. So you take this.
Lena Luthor.
I saw this. I was
who of course is Lex Luthor's sister.
Right.
And she is the head of Luthor Corp in the show because her mom is actually a big bad.
Right.
And you're not quite sure if she's good or bad. She plays both sides of the fence.
I'm all right.
But she's been actually promoted to series regular for next season.
Sweet.
She was in about a quarter of the episodes this first season. Very much how what's the guy who used to be married to Jenny Garth? He played the dad vampire in Twilight.
Oh, getting closer, but
he was in Can't Hardly Wait as the douchebag.
Wait.
Yeah.
Seth Green?
No.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different movie.
Yeah, the football. No, right movie, but he was the football player, not the.
Oh, not the
wingster.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So anyway, so he was kind of like the pseudo antagonist in the first season.
Indeed.
She's kind of like that now, so that's what I'm kind of guessing.
Cool. So we have some DC, not a lot of DC stuff.
Yeah, we already talked about the first thing with Justice League.
We talked about Justice League earlier in trailer time, and Wonder Woman.
So it got its official rating?
What do you think?
PG-13?
Winner, chicken dinner. Yeah, I mean, look, they're not going to go R with Wonder Woman.
No,
and PG doesn't even make sense.
No, because it's got too much violence, especially since it's based in World War I.
Exactly.
You're going to have too much automatic fire.
Yeah, there was only one rating that movie was going to get. So we have Disney stuff, and really it's just live action news, which is
yeah, and I do have something that I don't have a link for it, but we'll talk
fine.
about it really quick. But basically, it came out that we talked about last week how they had the casting call for Aladdin, and that Guy Ritchie is doing Aladdin.
right.
So we'll see how. I just hope Brad Pitt has a guest scene talking in the language he spoke in Snatch.
Oh, that'd be
in
sick.
Gypsy talk.
That'd be cool.
God, that would be awesome.
All right. So
Also, what's the second one?
the second one, Lion King, is going to start production soon.
Yeah, and
Like, soon.
And if I believe I'm correct in saying that Jon Favreau is behind that one.
I believe so.
Yeah, because he was
Let me double
behind.
check.
He was behind Jungle Book.
He did Jungle Book. I think he's doing this one too.
Yeah, and he was actually the original person behind Tomorrowland. Before Brad Bird took it over.
Right. So it says, let's see, in the wake of Beauty and the Beast. Let's see.
Oh, and while you're looking this up, let's talk about Beauty and the Beast box office.
Oh,
Have you
do
looked
that.
at it?
It's insane.
Beauty and the Beast opening weekend, $174 million.
That's
Sixth biggest opening of all time.
wait, 100
And $74 million.
in the weekend?
Yes. It took over sixth place from Iron Man 3.
Wow, that's
Bigger than any
insanity.
Harry Potter movie. That's bigger than any Twilight movie. That's
Woo. Okay, so one of the couple things I want to say about this, we may have talked about it, but James Earl Jones is reprising his role in the Lion
as
King
Mufasa?
movie as Mufasa,
Awesome.
which is badass. Obviously, Donald Glover is going to be in it as well. And let's see, it doesn't say anything about.
who's Donald
Oh
Glover
no,
going to
yeah,
play?
it's Jon Favreau. It says at the bottom.
I wonder who Donald Glover's going to play because he's not right for Scar.
No, you think he's going to play?
He doesn't fit
kid?
Timon. He doesn't fit. Maybe the adult Simba.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I would guess.
Okay.
To answer Wyrock's question, yeah, we did see the Deadpool 2 trailer. We talked about it in last week's.
Yeah, last week's episode.
Yeah, so you can go
the
check
beginning.
that up on YouTube. Yeah, the one thing I want to talk about this week is there is rumblings. And if you actually go to Nerdist.com or go to the Nerdist YouTube channel, Jessica Chobot actually did a Nerdist News Daily about this concept of a possible Disney live-action universe, and that they're connected.
Meaning what?
Okay, well, there's always fan theories. Of course, if you look at Pixar, there's that long-running fan theory about how all the Pixar movies take place in the same universe in a long timeline. And then there's obvious things that you see in certain things, like if you watch Frozen, at the coronation day, you see Rapunzel and Flynn from Tangled.
Yeah, I love that.
Because they're there.
That little short is
Right.
really good.
And then the thing is, because of that, people hypothesize that Anna and Elsa's parents, who died on their boat trip, were going to their wedding, to Flynn and Rapunzel's wedding.
Right.
Okay, but
Yeah, we
now the
talked
thing,
about that before.
yeah, but now the thing that came up this week is that the person who did, it was either Frozen or something. He's behind one of these movies. He said that when he was doing something, he always thought that they didn't die. They shipwrecked on a island and had a young Tarzan.
Oh,
So Tarzan is actually a brother of Anna and Elsa.
I like that. So they're all connected.
Yeah, so they're all kind of connected, and Disney isn't ruling it out, and it's definitely a far-flung concept.
Right.
But if they're going to do it, now's the time, because they can put it in on the ground floor.
Indeed.
There's not a lot of stuff that they have to retroact, because you don't really have to reference. I mean, as we saw in Maleficent, you don't have to go straight from the original script.
Right.
You can bring in more of the darker elements of the original stories. You can change it a little bit. I actually kind of hope they do this, but I don't want it so interwoven like Marvel does. I would like it more tangential, that you just see like little things like, yeah, they were at their wedding, or they were there. So they're all kind of in the same universe, but not
All. Yeah,
not plot dependent.
I see what you're saying.
Maybe plot drivers, but not plot dependent.
The next thing we have, dude, is bumming me out. Because how long has Firefly been on Netflix?
Since almost the beginning.
Yeah, years, right?
Yeah.
So Firefly is going to be taken down from Netflix on April 1st.
Yes.
I'm hoping it's an April Fool's joke, but I doubt it.
No, I don't.
So if you're a fan of it, or if you've never seen Firefly, it's what, 13 episodes?
It's 13 episodes in one movie.
And one movie. The movie you can find anywhere. Watch Firefly. Just check it out. If you've never seen it, you've heard people talk about it, I implore you, check it out while it's on Netflix.
Okay, do you want to hear my silver lining on this?
Can I say no? Or
You can.
I'm not going to. Continue.
Okay. One of the main reasons that things leave Netflix is because Netflix, basically, the reason why they can show things on Netflix is because they make deals with the production companies.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the reason why they could show Friends was because they made an agreement with Warner Brothers, right? With Firefly, it would be 20th Century Fox, whatever, right? One of the main reasons why things get taken down is because the property is going to be used somewhere else.
Okay.
Okay, because if you're not going to be using,
I see what you're saying.
if you're not going to be using the property anywhere else, it's stupid to take it off of Netflix, unless they're going to be making a deal with, say, Hulu or
I
Crackle or something. But if you're not going to be repurposing the product, it's stupid because you just have that money influx coming where you wouldn't normally have it.
Right.
So if they're taking away that stream of income, they being 20th Century Fox, they've got to be using it in some other aspect.
All right.
And for me, that could be a silver lining because it could mean a limited series or something else.
Yeah. No, look. Let's leave the wishful thinking there.
Exactly.
How about that?
I'm just going to put that out there. That is the reason. That's
And-
one of the reasons it could be.
And you putting it out there is enough.
All right.
Oh, it could be enough. Fox stuff. We have a ton. Not a ton.
Not a ton. Just a few things. You do the first one because you put it in.
Well, yeah. So Fox, apparently they put out a. Well, let me see if I can get this straight here. Okay. It says whether you're looking. Well, how do I want to say this? Do I even want to bother with this little?
No, actually, I think it's important.
So
but-
the tagline is Fox new superhero franchise model. So Fox, think about it. They have X-Force coming. They've got Deadpool, Deadpool 2.
Right.
And so I imagine they're trying to build a universe around their things.
And I'm going to reference my idea with the DC universe with the Disney universe with this.
Okay.
Is that Fox has discovered that they
And Logan's there too.
conglomerately, just Fox doesn't have the chops to do what Disney and Marvel do.
Right.
Okay, they can't. And DC is finding out how hard it is to do. They can't develop a far-flung and entirely consequentially connected universe. They
Absolutely
tried it
not.
with X-Men, and they can't get the timelines right.
Right.
But what they have discovered with the failure of Fantastic Four and the successes of Deadpool and Logan,
And we also have Legion in there as well.
exactly, and the success of Legion, is that when they have standalone stories that are tangentially connected, that's where they succeed. Because they tell great individual stories, but they just don't have the chops to do something so far-flung.
As an interconnected universe.
Right, exactly. So, and actually, there was an article that came out that I didn't put in here because I didn't think it was all that important, but it does kind of support this theory, is that although Deadpool 2 is going to be the jumping-off point for X-Force, it is a completely standalone story.
Right.
Right? Whereas all Marvel movies, although they are standalone, they are totally connected.
Oh, they're all connected.
Yeah, they're all, and I'm going to use that same concept I said with Disney, is that they are plot dependent.
And let
Fox is going to be going plot driving.
Right. So let's look at Fox's the Fox model. It can be summarized in 3 core elements. Number 1, focus on character. Understand
Yes.
what makes an idea work and execute on that understanding. They've done that well. Deadpool, Logan,
Yes.
perfect examples.
Legion, yeah.
Number 2, ignore continuity.
Yes.
Tell the story you need to tell and only use what you need from the franchise and ignore the rest.
Right, because if the thing is the stories that they have the rights to are so either not dependent on timeline like Deadpool, or completely dependent
overly,
on timeline
yeah.
like X-Men, and confusingly so.
Well, confusing because if you haven't seen all the other stuff, you're not going to know what the hell they're talking
Right, and they contradict each other.
And there's too many contradictions.
Exactly. So what they can do is ignore it and just tell the story.
Oh, almost choked. Number 3, believe in the vision. Don't let ratings or stylization hold you back. If you make something great, it will find an audience.
Exactly. And this goes back to the fact that, well, yeah, while their major successes have been R-rated movies, you can't just say, like what we're starting to hear from DC or Sony, you can't just say, I'm doing an R-rated movie because that's what it needs to be.
Right.
No, let the story drive the content.
Yeah, if it needs to be R-rated, it's going to be R-rated.
Right. Like, the reason why the first and second Wolverine standalone movies were decent but not successful is because you can't tell a Wolverine movie without it being bloody.
It doesn't make any sense. And
Right.
I've heard this on so many other shows lately. It's just, how are you going to tell an effective Wolverine movie story?
When he
how
can
are you
never
gonna tell
go
a story
berserk.
where he's not killing? I mean, he's killing.
There's only so many
But
times
you
you
don't
can
see it.
Yeah, there's only so many times you can stab him in the chest.
His weapon is blades that come out of his hands.
Yes.
What do you do with blades that come out of your hands?
You slice mothers up.
Slice and dice and stab. So you
And it's
gotta
the same
show
thing
it.
with Deadpool. You can't tell.
No.
That's why Deadpool failed in the Wolverine movie. Is you can't have a Deadpool movie that doesn't swear.
And he doesn't swear, and he doesn't blow people up.
Exactly.
You know. Anyway, so let's move on to Deadpool 2.
Yes.
Is that where we're at? Okay. Cable casting is coming down, coming very, very soon.
Yeah, you knew it was going to be coming soon once they announced Domino.
Indeed. And then, so the writers revealed, I think this came out today, there was some traits for the casting search. But Michael Shannon is the front runner to play. Excuse me, that one it was as of today is the front runner to play Cable.
Yeah, Michael Shannon. And
I don't remember what he was been in, but I wonder.
no, Michael Shannon's a fantastic actor. He's been
yeah.
nominated for I think 3 Oscars, and he played. He was just in Batman v Superman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he played the bad guy.
Okay. So I wanted to throw this out here. These are the traits.
Okay.
I like this. I think intimidating,
Yes.
scary,
Yes.
a great foil opponent opposite the lunacy, and someone with a great deadpan thing where they can react to someone who's being crazy, someone who also has a spark of a sense of humor. This person has to be funny because they're butting up with Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool, so they just themselves to be funny, but in a more serious way, if that makes sense. Physically imposing and able to emote, there's a real drama and stakes and real stakes. It's a tough one.
Okay,
How do you feel that role?
it is hard, and Michael Shannon pretty much does it. Very few people have actually seen him do comedy, but he actually is a fairly funny guy. Some of his early work has been funny, where he kind of plays the rube,
Okay.
right? But the guy who's now second in line and getting serious consideration, I think would actually feel it better, except for he's not as physically intimidating as Michael Shannon.
Who is it? Because I saw that.
Brad Pitt. And this is why I'm saying, okay, I'm going to say,
He's just not big enough.
no, but he can be intimidating.
That's true.
I mean, I will reference Fight Club,
But he's got the humor. All the other stuff
Yeah.
we just said is there.
Take 7, Snatch, and what I think is most important is he's definitely going to be a box office draw,
Yeah.
but you know he can play second fiddle because he did that in Ocean's 11, 12, and 13.
I think that is my favorite role
Exactly.
from Brad Pitt
Because-
outside of Fight Club.
because he was one of the funniest things in that movie because he was playing off of
Oh, yeah.
George Clooney.
And he's just like standing. He's like, and he's got that, whatever kind of eating grin on his face.
Exactly.
He's eating food the whole time. We've
Exactly.
talked about this before. I love
Exactly.
it.
So
love it.
that's why actually when I first heard, I'm like, Brad Pitt, are you serious?
But he would.
But
kill
then when I
it.
started thinking about him from Snatch, him from 12 Monkeys, he can definitely play crazy.
And that description I just read.
Yeah. But
Is
I
that
think the
all
most
that to a
important
T?
part is that he's more of a box office draw than Michael Shannon,
Yeah.
but he can still play second fiddle.
I think that would work out. But we'll see what they come up with.
Yes.
Pitt's available, I think, though, right? I mean, he's not doing too much.
Well, I mean, he has been doing stuff, but
sure.
I think he does have an opening in his calendar right now.
He's a busy guy. Logan passes 500 million. Since we're talking about
Right.
all this stuff, past 500 million global box office.
Which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of like the maker. That's where they're gonna start making money, like real money.
Right.
But to kind of give you an idea, Beauty and the Beast, with just his 2 weeks behind them, just past 400 million.
Well,
Beauty and the Beast is a moneymaker.
I don't know. I didn't see it. The kids and the wife went and saw it at a kids party last weekend. I didn't get to go.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see it this weekend, but I haven't decided yet.
Well, let me know when you're going. I'll go check it out.
All right.
Sony. We have a bunch of stuff. So apparently, Sony is my mic off? Okay. So apparently, Sony is talking about they're doing a Venom flick, a spin-off flick. Now, there's a release date for it. Also, there's another article that I have a link to that says there's apparently the spin-offs are not going to be related to MCU at all.
Right. And actually, I'm good with
which I think this is important.
Yes. I will say 3 things with this. The same thing that Sony does that can't do is the same thing Fox can't do.
Release date October 5th, 2018.
Right. And they're the same things that they can't do. And that is they can't hold together. And actually, Sony's even worse at it. Right? Because what Fox tries to do is they can actually hold a leading character, as we've seen from Wolverine and Logan, and they can do a leading person.
Yeah.
And they can actually do teams. They just can't do timelines.
Indeed.
Okay? Sony has so much trouble holding a lead character for multiple movies, which is what you want to do if you want to do a franchise. That's why they keep rebooting Spider-Man.
They keep rebooting because they can't keep him there after a couple ones.
Exactly.
You know,
well, because
on.
the story keeps falling apart.
Right.
So I'm going to say Fox's main rule to serve the story. But now that they don't, I saw it. Once they gave up control of Spider-Man, but they kept control of all the side characters, which is
they
important.
Can go hog wild on all of this other stuff.
Oh, absolutely,
and not have to worry about the MCU.
Exactly.
It's pretty brilliant.
Exactly, because now they can say, okay, I want to do a cool story, and like the 2 things that they have in line are Venom. Now, the fact is, Venom's become an anti-hero in modern comics, right, and cartoons. They totally butchered him in Spider-Man 3 with Topher Grace. And I love Topher Grace.
Oh, me too.
But you really couldn't get into the complexities of an alien symbiote using a human host as a side character.
Doesn't make sense.
So making him the main character, I think they're going to do better. Plus, they don't have it's not like I screwed up Spider-Man. It's Venom. You know what I mean?
Venom.
It's a little bit different. Yeah. Which is why their other one is Black Cat and Silver Sable.
Right.
I think that's also brilliant. That's why I think you're going to start seeing DC have more success with their smaller. Although I think Wonder Woman is actually going to be the movie that finally breaks through.
I think that's finally going to be it.
I think they're actually going to do better with like the Gotham City Sirens, those sort of things.
I agree. I agree for the most part. I think there's a lot of feeling in the community on the internet that have some trepidation about about the Sirens movie. You know what I mean? Only because instead of doing a what's the freaking name? Hammer. Chick.
Harley Quinn?
Instead of doing a Harley Quinn movie, I don't know why all of a sudden I have a brain fart. Instead of doing a Harley Quinn movie, they're doing it, okay, let's put her, but let's put these other people with her.
Because there's less pressure on the character.
No, and I think that's important, which is why they haven't done a Black Widow movie.
Exactly. I think Margot Robbie could definitely pull off doing a Harley Quinn movie.
Oh, yeah.
But as a way to step her out, I think it's it's less pressure on the character to develop. That's why I think if they were to ever do a Black Widow movie, they can't. Captain Marvel is one that they absolutely have to do solo, right? The storyline demands that.
Absolutely.
I think what you could do with Black Widow is instead of doing it Black Widow, which I think they kind of eventually have to do, just for feminist reasons, but do what they're doing with Ant-Man and Wasp and make it a Black Widow Hawkeye thing of whatever happened in Budapest.
Or, do the Budapest thing. Or do, I don't know, a Black Widow Hulk movie.
Exactly.
And explore that relationship.
And I'm also not saying
level,
that Black Widow needs a male character to prop her up. But what if you did, say, a Black Widow Captain Marvel or a Black Widow, bring in 2 female characters.
Indeed. I'm with you. All right, so let's finish up with Marvel, and then we'll get conventions and get out.
Yeah.
We have Michael Pena says he's got a role in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
You had to. He was the one that made the movie.
Why would he not be in that movie?
Exactly. Michael Pena is hilarious.
He's great. So I'm glad that they're doing that. Iron Fist. So I did not read any of these articles because I haven't seen Iron Fist yet. And my thing is there's a lot of flack right now out there about Iron Fist. And I'm not sure if it's I think it's residual from, well, I'm imagining It's residual from the whitewashing issue.
It's funny. All the
and various
all the,
other things.
All the
but-
bad reviews crap we were getting happened before actual release.
Right.
Actually, since they've released, quality has not been an issue.
Right.
It's all back on the whitewashing.
It's going back to the whitewashing. So, apparently Stan Lee has a cameo, which is cool. I have 2 articles in here. One is The Good, Bad, and the Ugly of Iron Fist. So that's a review. I think that might be from Nerdist. I can't remember where I got that link from. No,
I trust Nerdist.
No, that one's comicbook.com.
Okay.
But Nerdist put out something, a review as well.
Right, yeah.
There's a ton of stuff out there about Iron Fist. We haven't watched it yet. My goal is to kind of maybe binge it by myself. I'm not sure if the wife wants to watch it yet.
Well, honestly, I still have to watch Luke Cage, so maybe Spring Break.
Tell me you're going to watch Luke Cage again.
I will. I'm going to watch it. Probably during Spring Break.
I'm joking. So Stan Lee's got a cameo in Iron Fist, which is cool. And Defenders has wrapped filming, which
Good.
is also cool.
Because that's coming out this fall.
Yeah. And I can't wait for Defenders.
No.
I don't, and honestly,
great.
Iron Fist had to happen now.
Right.
And was going to happen now no matter what. Regardless of what you think of that. Like
you had to have it before you could get to Defenders.
And honestly, man, what's funny is the wife and I watched, Daredevil season 1 and like half of season 2 together. I watched all of it.
Right.
We watched part of Jessica Jones. She wasn't as into it as I was hoping she would be. So I finished it.
Right.
We watched Luke Cage together. We haven't watched Iron Fist yet. So either way, all of this has to happen before you have Defenders.
Right. Okay. And one thing I'm going to say is actually they've really been focusing on the whitewashing of Iron Fist and everything and Danny Rand. I honestly don't know who the villain is. Right.
Bobo in chat says that he's into Iron Fist. It's 5 episodes in. So
awesome!
I like that.
Thanks for that.
Thanks
Steve.
for the endorsement.
But it's not Daredevil. One of the reasons Daredevil succeeded was because Vincent D'Onofrio was Kingpin. He was great.
Brilliant.
Jessica Jones did really, really well because David Tennant was Purple Man. It was fantastic.
But I personally, I loved, there was a couple parts of, and we've talked about this, Jessica Jones. I was just like, it was a little, I think towards the end, but it was overall, I just love the feel of that show.
Yeah, Jessica Jones. It was definitely gumshoe film noir.
Oh, so good.
But one thing that I also think is that each series so far, their main character has had a very, if not necessarily a companion, I don't want to say companion, but a secondary character who is almost as popular as they are. So you have Elektra in Daredevil.
Jessica Jones had 2.
Yeah, we have Hellcat.
3 then.
Patsy Walker.
Yeah, but I'm thinking Jessica Jones had
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage
Right.
was there, and then you also have the David Tennant. But
Right. Well, I'm not talking villains, and I'm not talking
I
other
see what
main
you're saying.
stars.
I see what you're saying.
Because
Okay.
they're going to cross over and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm talking that secondary characters like Hellcat, Patsy Walker.
I got you.
Like Elektra, and Missy Knight in Luke Cage.
Oh yeah,
I
Misty
still haven't-
Knight was
The thing
wonderful.
is the character that you most commonly associate with Iron Fist is Power Man.
Yeah.
Luke Cage, and you're not going to get that dynamic until you get to Defenders.
And if you're not going to see that, and if we don't see that in Iron Fist, I get it. Depending on where they go with the story, again, we haven't seen it. But anytime I see one or the other in a Deadpool comic,
yeah, you're
they
waiting for the
eventually end up together.
Yeah, you're waiting for the other one.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's Iron Fist and Power Man. What's up, Deadpool? Go away, Deadpool, kind
Right.
of thing.
Exactly.
It's great. Anyway,
And it's like when they rebooted the comic series last year. What I loved is the first comic cover. It had Power Man with somebody over his shoulder,
Yeah.
and Iron Fist is dragging somebody behind him, and it's just great. But where I was going with this is that they have another name for the main villain in Defenders, and it's Sigourney Weaver.
right.
So what I like is they're
Right,
going
right,
back
right.
to there being a very big name being the villain.
Cool. All right. So here we go. Last thing before we get to convention news, which will be super quick. Apparently, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 has a runtime.
And it is?
And it is, according to an Australian site, the film will be 137 minutes. So that's 2
217.
hours and 17 minutes. And that length makes this Guardians film the 4th longest project from Marvel Studios. Captain America Civil War is the top with 146, Avengers 143, and Avengers Age of Ultron 141.
Yeah, well, it's the more convoluted stories.
Yeah.
Right, because
And they're all about character.
Yeah.
in
Not only that,
this
the
movie.
more major characters you have, the more support staff you have in the production team.
The more time you got to spend.
Exactly. Well, if you think about that, I mean, like an Iron Man movie probably had, I'd say 7 or 8 minutes of credits.
Right.
The other movies had probably close to 15.
A lot.
I mean, that adds another 5 or 6 or 7 minutes of screen time right there.
Indeed. All right. So, although we don't have any official SMOD links, SMODco stuff, I wanted to throw out there that I've been checking csmod.com. We're getting down to the point to where we have to start buying things for Comic-Con.
Right.
Yeah,
We already
which-
bought our tickets.
Right, which we're leading up to for the last section here. But I've been looking to make sure because I want to start planning our meetup, right?
Yeah.
But I want to make sure I want to see what Smith is doing.
Exactly.
right?
Because we honestly have to do our meetup planned around what his schedule is.
Well, only
Because we always go to Babylon.
we have to go to Babylon.
Hopefully they do Fat Man on Batman again.
I'm hoping. And last year they did Jay and Silent Bob Will Get Old, which I wouldn't mind seeing only because I love Jay Muse. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll
Jamie
see.
is great. And nice guy. We met him, twice?
Couple times,
Yeah. Because it's great. He actually comes out to the lines occasionally whenever he's there.
I have a couple
But
pictures
they
with
also
him,
did
like,
they also did the premiere of Yoga Hosers.
Indeed.
He's
Right.
not going to have anything ready for this time because obviously he's been working in the Berlantiverse.
Yeah.
And he hasn't even started on Moose Jaws yet. So we know they won't have that. But I definitely am looking forward to going back to the Screen Junkies thing.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully they do
definitely going to the Nerdist Legendary Entertainment thing.
I hope they do I hope they do the Screen Junkies thing again.
Yeah, that was
think
great.
they will.
I will give really quick here because we're talking about convention stuff. I want to give a quick shout out to my friend Claudia,
Yeah.
who I met because she was the marketing director for your Geek and Sundry. Got a promotion. She is now one of the marketing directors for Legendary.
Oh.
So she's moved up to the parent company,
Good for
and
her.
she just got married. She actually got married right about the time Felicia gave birth. So
Well, congrats to all of you.
congrats
people.
to Claudia. Lots of great stuff happening in your world.
No, that's
and
cool.
check out her podcast. Her and her brother and her friend do a podcast called Tiny Table 3.
Nice. Which we've talked about a few months back.
Yes.
So, a couple Stan Lee related convention things. So Stan Lee canceled a couple of appearances.
Yeah, and of course at the age of 94, first thoughts are
Well, it was because of health.
right.
And so he came out, and this actually posted yesterday, I think. And he basically said, over the last month, fans of Stan Lee have been keeping a close eye on comics on this icon. And he says, been feeling almost back up to snuff, Lee wrote, so time to send out the battle cry Excelsior, of course. And
Awesome.
This was on taking to Facebook. Lee gave all the fans an update. And he missed a couple of things. He canceled an appearance at Salt Lake City Comic-Con and a couple of other ones. And I'm hoping... And we all knew that he was going to stop doing conventions at some
Yeah,
point.
I mean 94. He's still, but the thing is, a flu at 94 can knock you on your ass.
Right. And so he's almost back to health.
Good.
So I'm glad.
Yeah, I really hope to see him again at hopefully it's Silicon Valley.
Yeah, and I didn't want to lose Stanley. I don't think I can handle
That's
that.
going to be a hard day in geekdom.
It's going to be a hard day for us all.
and it almost happened last year when I almost ran him over at Silicon Valley.
Yeah, well, that's a different story for another day.
Nope, sorry.
What do you got here? Okay, so I have an article in here, and I'm not going to go through all this, but because there's a lot of legal stuff going on.
Yes.
But short-term rentals are. There's an article from SDCC Undercover unofficial blog,
Right.
which talks about the viability, basically, of Airbnbs and stuff
Right.
like that as an alternative to what we're going to talk about in a minute. Getting a hotel downtown or outside of the convention in Mission Valley, for example,
Right.
to go to
Or by the
San
airport,
Diego
yeah.
Comic-Con, right? So there's a lot of legal stuff that goes along with it. The city's not stoked with it.
Right.
You got to work around that. And then what also happens, what they talk about in the article is people will be like, oh, this person has an Airbnb within, walking distance of a Comic-Con shuttle, and they're only charging, $80 a night. I'll swoop on that.
Right.
And then what happens is they realize that, holy crap, I just put this up. It's Comic-Con weekend. I could charge 4 times that much.
Yep.
And then they cancel your reservation last minute and then put it back up at an exorbitant amount.
Right.
And then you have that other issue.
Yeah, the two main things I have with this is they're not under the block agreement with Comic-Con International, so they don't have a cap on their rentals.
Right.
On the other hand, they also don't have to pay city and county hotel tax fees,
Right.
which is why the county's upset.
Right. So there's a bunch of stuff going on here. The article is actually pretty cool. And of course, its tagline, a viable alternative to hotel apocalypse, which is what that website refers to as the time.
The open hotel.
The crazy lottery that comes along with trying to find a hotel for Comic-Con. Because if you
Right.
think about it, and I'm going to open this up.
Which I think they're announcing for May 1st or 2nd this year.
All right. So let's get down to it. The main thing, last thing I want to talk about this week, San Diego Comic-Con early bird hotels are now open.
Yeah.
And this is where we got our hotels last year.
Yeah, we stayed at Days Inn last year.
Yeah, we waited a couple weeks. You know, we're gonna get paid. Our next coach's thing here pretty soon. We'll probably swoop on one of these, just to secure a hotel.
It definitely made last summer much less stressful.
Indeed. So we pay for this stuff ahead of time. You can wait until the open hotel lottery, but again, there's a whole deal, kind of like how they do all this other stuff. There's a list. You put your top 6. You know, you may put up, and you're going to end up paying more. There's a whole balance to this thing.
Right,
And
because the main thing is you basically, with the early bird stuff, you can get a hotel like Days Inn or Hilton that's outside in Mission Valley or the hotel.
no
the
downtown hotels are
right,
available.
but they
during-
are all right next to shuttle locations, and they're all in between, say, $170 and $240.
And they're all, and it's secured. You're done.
Yes.
Now, we had a hiccup when we got to our hotel last year with
Right, because we didn't get 2 beds.
We didn't get 2 beds. There was a couple things. The other thing that I want to throw out there is you can't get a refund.
Yeah, so it's not like we can say, okay, Marshall, you're gonna put your name in for the early bird stuff. We'll secure that, and then I'll try for the open lottery.
Right.
Because we can't refund the $700 that we're going to be putting in for the hotel.
So we would end up with 2 hotel rooms, which would
Exactly.
make sense. So if you're going to look, here's the other thing. And I want to put this out there because I know some folks who are listening to the audio version of this podcast are thinking about going to Comic-Con. Get your member ID going. And I've been saying this for a few weeks. If you're trying to go to get open registration, that's going to happen in the next couple weeks, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
And so get your member ID and all that, and then think about what you want to do. And again, you can get a hotel. There's more hotels, and I love the statistic. It says, let me see if I can find it, because there's 100 and there. It doesn't say it on this post, but there's just not enough rooms for everybody.
No.
Period.
And it's a huge convention city,
Yeah.
but there's still not enough rooms. I mean, it's not like it's in Vegas, which has like 4,000 hotel rooms.
Right. So I think it's on the short-term rental one. Yeah, so it says there are 19,500 or so rooms in the CCI block that they say,
Right.
okay, we're going to block these rooms out. We're going to put it up on, it's called On Peak.
Yes.
Is who they go through. And what's crazy is that's compared with 130,000 attendees.
Yeah.
There's not enough room for everybody.
No, and that's like the amount that are trying for, because there's way more than that going.
Way more. So think about it. If this is your first year, from experience, I'll tell you what. If you're trying to go for open reg, or you're going to try to go down anyway, just to try to
Right. Like I've gone a couple
experience it,
times without tickets.
and you don't need badges to go down there. There's a ton of stuff to do outside the convention, which we've talked about.
Although don't get me wrong, it is really nice to have the air conditioning.
Nice to go in the air conditioning. But all of that aside, the early bird is kind of the way to go, I think.
Yeah, just because it secures it. I mean, unless you
It's less stress.
unless you're a name
Yeah.
like Kevin Smith and you can go stay at the Omni every year.
Sure, yeah. And they block off rooms for the celebrities
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But the bottom line, too, is I just don't want to think about it. I don't want to stress about not getting hotel on
Right.
during that moment. So,
Oh, absolutely. It's so much less stressful.
yeah. So here we are. Are we done?
I think we're done.
Nothing else from chat?
No, nothing from chat.
Kick ass. So thanks for tuning in to The Usual Podcast. If you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. I am Darth Pops on Twitter. Will is at IMO Griggs. iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play. Find us on there. Like us, love us, and all of that. Thanks to all our patrons. patreon.com/usual podcast. If you want to help us out, give us a buck or two an episode, help us get to Comic-Con again. Everything helps pay our server fees, all that kind of stuff. But anything extra goes towards the things we do, so we appreciate that. And you get exclusives like Trailer Time. We're adding stuff slowly. We're trying to add stuff to benefit people who literally give us money to do what we do. We are not profiting from this, by the way. not even close. In fact, I don't think
you don't want to know how much we spend on.
I'm not doing math well, but it's not great. No. But it
I mean, even the little things. It helps us out with parking at the airport when we go, or
exactly.
And actually, the more stuff we can get at Comic-Con, we always give away a whole bunch of stuff after Comic-Con.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll have a thing for we'll give a bunch of stuff to our patrons when we get back and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So now's the time. A buck or two an episode, patreon.com/usual podcast and audibletrial.com/usual podcast. That's, if you join there, you get a free audiobook. We get $15. You get an audiobook, and I would go with something like Game of Thrones, Sanderson, something big and beefy.
Maybe the new Thrawn or Inferno Squad.
Thrawn novel comes out soon. Inferno Squad, all that kind of stuff. So if you're into Star Wars stuff, you want to catch up on the Old Republic, Revan, Deceived, all that stuff is.
I'm going to recommend the new Steve Berry book, which I think comes out in May.
Cool. So, yeah. So there we go.
And I will please tell all your friends and your guildmates to come and check out Trailer Time.
Yeah.
By watching us live on Twitch or becoming a patron and getting it anytime they want.
Indeed. And next week, we're playing the exact same course as we did this week. So I'll be coming in on the wire. I might say we're going to go on at 8:30 next week, just so I don't have to stress, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Luckily, all my meets are on for Wednesdays, so I don't have Thursdays to worry about.
Indeed.
All right.
Well, are we done? Are we done talking and looking at each other and being weird?
I can never stop looking at you.
Indeed. 18 years of friendship, bro.
I know, right?
Can we close this out before it gets weird?
Well, you got to tell them to what?
Well, you're telling them something, then I'm gonna do it.
No, you tell them.
Well, look, just have a good week, and we'll see you and stuff. And are you doing it right? Doing it wrong? What am I supposed to say? Just
have a fun.
No, you say have a fun.
You say have a fun.
You always say have a fun. Do you realize that?
Do I?
I have edited this show so many times. I'm waiting for you to say it so I can close it out.
All right, everybody, have a fun.
Oh my god! And then I say something like,
"Oh, if you're not having a fun, you're not doing it right." And then I say, "Peace."
Yeah, you blew it. So I'm editing this.
Whatever. So. I totally realized that I tilted down my laptop and people were looking at my belly.
Well, we ruined the end of the show. So have a fun, have a week. We'll see you all.
I butchered it. Night.
We'll see you all next week. You blew it.
How is it I didn't realize that?
I don't know. We've only done it that way for
like a year and a half now.
30-something shows. Anyway, thanks. Oh, you're awesome, Steve. Thanks for being here, man. Yeah, he's baffled as well. You blew it. Anyway. All right, guys. We are going to... I am still in my golf clothes and stuff. I'm going to end my post-stream chat prematurely.
I'm going to take a shower.
So thanks for being here, everybody. And check us out next week. It'll be 8-ish next week as well. Same time. Yeah, JT, thanks for being here. It all cleans up later when I edit it, but the stream is fun nonetheless. Did Mock stick around the whole time, or did he take off to go do some Comic-Con? You gotta come, dude. You gotta get Steve down there, man. You're great.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh, I'm just hang up. So yeah, tell him.
No, I'm continuing the conversation because you just shut down right after, which is great, but that's cool. Anyway, oh, nice. You got your Comic-Con ID. So open registration should be...
Oh, tell me you can stay in our hotel room.
Yeah, and we are going to get a hotel room. So definitely, if we would love help with that. If you want to stay with us, it'd be awesome. So we have, open registration, I think, they're saying it's going to be early April. So you are a lucky man, Steve. So you'll probably get in right away and have your pick. But if not, if you get it one day or two, also you'll be on our show when we do our meetup.
Yeah.
Which would be awesome.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll talk to you about something later.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, we got to go, guys. You're all awesome. And we will see you all later.